across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning. I don't know why I started the show with a clap. I just thought I needed to perk myself up a bit. Hello. Good morning. Happy Saturday to you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I hope you at least plan to spend the next 3 hours with us. We will make it worth your while as we gallop wholeheartedly through all of the offerings of the news from the past week and, of course, the weekend newspapers. And there's been a lot going on. Have you not noticed? The new Prime Minister lies in wait. In fact, he spoke. It opened its mouth. The emoji made noises yesterday, safely within its own environment. We weren't allowed to observe it in the wild, no. We had to see it in its domesticated settings of a union building, talking to its people in tropes that could have been taken straight out of a 90s playbook. I kind of feel like I've been biffed around the head and I've woken up and I've gone back 30 years because it seems to me Andy Burnham's pitch as our new Prime Minister is, well, we got to sort out all the things that Thatcher did. It's like, what? Eh? But you do realise that Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister about 40 years ago? Right. What about sorting out immigration, open borders? What about sorting out the dire states of our economy? We've got yet another warning from the IMF that we are on the precipice and about to fall off the other side unless we cut welfare. What about sorting out our defence budget? You know, with the way that Russia's carrying on and, oh yeah, look, it looks like war in the Middle East ain't going anywhere. How about dealing with that? No, that's right. We're going to talk about the closure of the mines. Like, seriously. Seriously, it's such unserious politics. It is just that it's the politics of platitudes, of tropes, of emojis, of memification, of buzzwords, of be kind. It is just so lacking the muscle and the fibre and the proteins and the minerals and basically everything. It's lacking everything that we might need right now to help us. But what it isn't lacking is that warm, cuddly feeling that we're now being governed by a nice man rather than, I don't know, a sort of wrongly programmed sociopathic automaton. But there you go. I don't think it's really going to get us very far, to be honest. So we are, of course, going to be talking a lot about Andy Burnham. And I have spent the last couple of days at CPAC, which is going on again today down at near the O2 in East London. But I'm back here. I enjoyed actually gallivanting around the premises on Friday, doing the show from there. Met some really cool people. Went to the gala dinner last night. Guess who was also there? I saw him in the crowd. In fact, we walked past each other and looked at each other alarmingly and were like, ooh. Yes. Are we going to be able to do it tomorrow?
Yes, that's very funny.
We? But do you know what we did not do, Mr. Barnes?
We didn't get on the boat.
We did not get on the boat. We did not get on the boat.
Yes.
So we went to a CPAC gala dinner, which was a really good affair.
It was all right.
There was all sorts of characters there.
It was quite a little concerning at times because I was like, well, I've said this about that person and I've said this about that person.
I was like, oh, don't make eye contact with you.
Yeah. No, it did turn into the Bunch of the Crips at some point.
I do think whenever I go to sort of, party conferences or things like this, I think of it a bit like going to a wedding or a funeral. When you see sort of long-lost members of the family, you only see them at these events.
Yes.
It's like, oh, hello, how you doing?
Oh, God, yeah. The number of times I said, oh, it's been a while. I'd love to have kept a count in my head as to how many times I said, yeah, it has been a while, I've not seen you in ages. Because it's like you say, you only see them at a conference or at a very specific event. Yeah, and it happens like obviously once a year or something. Yeah, you're so right. But it was a lovely event. But we didn't get on the boat.
Yeah, there was some sort of boat.
Yeah, there was like an after-party drinks
apparently, it was Richard Branson's yacht from the 1980s, which, by the way, sounds kind of cool. I would quite like to see the decor on that thing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but if I didn't have to be here, I'd have got on the boat. It
was a very dangerous circumstance where there was a boat. I don't know what went on the boat. No. I didn't get on the boat. But there was a boat that went from Greenwich back up to Westminster, but it wasn't going to dock until
about
1:15 in the morning. And it's like, if I do the back clock, that's probably past my bedtime. And then dangerously, when you were given your sort of official tickets to get on the boat, it came with some sort of weird fake credit card.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
So this is a 1980s Branson yacht with a completely open bar that doesn't dock until 1:30 in the morning. Can I just say, like, the handshake,
Yes,
well done.
yeah, well done.
Well done
Well
for
done, well
resisting.
done,
Well
well
done.
done. Yeah.
That's how much we love you,
I have to
right?
admit, as I texted you this morning, I was like, do you know what? I feel like one of the people that didn't get on the Titanic.
I haven't actually heard from anyone from boats
same.
yet.
I haven't heard from
There's
anybody
been
I know
no
that went.
noises from the passengers of the boat, so I assume that because it left about half an hour late as well. That boat didn't get in till about 2 or something.
No.
Any passengers on that boat, they're asleep.
Yeah, it's it's like Davy Jones's ship now, isn't it? It's just forever on the Thames.
But the weird things at political events. But there you go. We actually showed a bit of self-discipline.
Yeah, I have to admit that when we saw each other, I was like, oh right, okay, so one of us has to be okay.
I tell you the weirdest part of the whole evening for me.
Oh, I know exactly the weird bit for you.
Oh, do you? Oh no, not that weird bit.
Right, okay.
Another weird bit.
No, I mean stood on the stage.
Right, okay, no, that weird bit. The other weird bit was the strange Venn diagrams of my life, where, you know, a lawyer I've known for 15 years who was we worked in his offices. It used to be UKIP HQ back in the sort of, you know, the teens, the 20 teens. And we're catching up yesterday, and he knows someone I know from back home. Anyway, weird Venn diagrams of life. But no, the weirdest part was all of a sudden the organiser of CPAC Australia, which I was invited to last year, came over to the table and he's like, yeah, we're doing an auction. Can you stand on the stage and hold the stuff?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what, like Meghan Markle opening them boxes?
That's what I said. Who I said next to her, I went, oh, she's turned into Meghan Markle. Or I did actually say, originally, to be fair, I did say she turned into Debbie McGee.
I was saying, well, to be honest, I'm more Debbie McGee than Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
But there I was
What's the famous line that Mrs. Merton, what was it that first attracted you to the millionaire Paul Daniels?
So there I was, minding my own business. Well, not really minding my own business, but just, you know, drinking all the free white wine, catching up with mates. And then all of a sudden it's like, right, you got a nice fuck on. We know you, Alex. Go stand on the stage and parade about with these bottles while we auction them off to billionaires. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the worst bit was when there was actually one bottle, and it was like, Alex Phillips doesn't come free with the whiskey, and everyone's like, boo! And I'm like, what is this? It's like it's that scene in Taken.
It really was.
Like,
it
is that what happens on the boat? Anyway.
Honestly, no, it was a lovely event, and it was very nice. I have to admit, I'm very glad I went. It was good fun. It was good fun. It was good fun,
and I feel surprisingly okay today.
Yes.
Which I'm very proud about.
Yeah.
Anyway, talking about 1980s yachts, you know, that which sort of seems to lend itself to a Duran Duran video. I think Andy Burnham does as well, because his speech. Shall we? Well, first of all, do you know what? Let's remind ourselves of the man that we're going to forget in all of about 2 seconds, who used to be our Prime Minister, isn't anymore. Well, let's see what Burnham does. I don't think we're going to miss him, but also I don't tend to agree with his final big statement in PMQs. No. This is what it was.
I picked up our party, I turned it round. I made a promise to rip anti-Semitism out of my party, and I did. I turned my party to face the country, and we won a landslide Labour general election. And after 2 years, we've stabilised the economy. We have invested heavily in our public services. We put better protections in for children, particularly on child poverty. We've strengthened our defence, and we've enhanced our international reputation. I'm proud to leave this country in a better shape than I found it. Thank you.
Lie alarm. I'm proud to leave this country.
We should have a button.
Hold on. Let's go through all those wild allegations. So, first of all, it's like I've strengthened our economy.
Lie.
Lie? You've got the guilt thingamajig. The guilt yields are far higher than when Liz Truss was in office.
Yeah.
And the IMF has had to send us a warning again that we're too big to bail out and we're about to
We're now
explode.
getting that letter that says, do not ignore this letter.
Yeah. So I think we can, dismiss that as possibly a little bit of a poetic licence.
Just a tad.
Defence. Oh, right, great, we're fighting fit now, aren't we?
Yeah,
Don't you worry. Remember that boat that didn't leave for Akrotiri for 3 weeks and then
Dragon.
had to turn back halfway? No, don't you worry about that. Nothing to see here.
I liked how it was HMS Dragon, but everyone says it's dragging.
It dragged on.
Dragged on, yeah.
And then, of course, this whole idea that you've invested in defence. What, that defence investment plan that you didn't give to us until like a gazillion years ago when everyone saw it was like, well, that's got 15 billion quid missing off the amount that we need.
Yeah,
okay.
You missed a couple of zeros.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that also worked. Yeah. The children thing, I mean, lifted more children out of poverty. I suppose...
Yeah, he opposed it.
Oh, did he?
You don't remember? He opposed the policy that he's now taking a victory lap for.
Oh, I do. I mean, what I do remember the last 2 years, the only thing I remember that this Labour government have done is breakfast clubs.
Yes, breakfast clubs. That's it. And I don't think there's as many breakfast clubs as we think there are.
I want to know who's enjoying all this breakfast.
Yes, I mean,
Like,
well, I had a very delightful breakfast thanks to you.
I bought your breakfast,
yes,
yeah.
but I will say the one thing I will always remember him for is we must release the sausages.
I would just remember him from being the slightly sadistic sociopath who locked people up for social media, if I'm honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the one that sticks in my head more than the others.
No, I will never forget that conference speech where it's like his big moment to talk about international affairs and he got hostages and sausages mixed up.
Oh,
and it was quite awkward because we were talking about Israelis.
Also, that sort of slightly weird moment in the Oval Office where he pulls out the ticket.
Yeah, oh my God. And,
Guess what I've got?
The other one where
So
he was
weird.
like, he walked forward when Trump called him, whether he like name checked him.
Yeah, and then Trump didn't want to shake his hand. He had to scurry off back.
Maybe that's what people could do. Phone in with your favourite embarrassing moment of Keir Starmer.
What are your favourite Starmerisms?
Yeah.
We should make a montage of Starmer's best bit.
A montage is half the show.
You are far right thugs.
Yeah.
Would be how it begins.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't you worry, because the 1980s are here to rescue us. His name is Andy, and he jogs in the street. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know what he is. No one knows what he is. But he seems to have identified what is wrong since he's got out of his time capsule back in the 90s. And here it is. This is Diagnosis Britain.
I am clear. Britain took a series of wrong turns in the 1980s. Political power was centralised and economic power was privatised. The country surrendered control of the essentials: housing, water, energy, transport, and left people exposed to higher costs. That in turn led to the concentration of more wealth and power in the hands of fewer people and fewer places.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, you know, Nigel Farage standing up and doing a speech going, or Kemi Baker going, well, I think we took a wrong turn in 1884.
Yeah.
Like, what? Why is he talking about a wrong turn in the 80s? This is 2026. We have had a long period of Labour government since then. In the aftermath, actually, of John Major, where the national coffers were full and they got to spend it on all of their favourite things. It just seems a bit weird to me.
Yeah, one thing he doesn't mention is in the 1980s we had like over 5% growth. Oh. Now we can just about manage 0.1.
If we're lucky.
If we're lucky. I mean, was it 88 where it dipped by like 0.3% and everyone went mental to like from I think it was 5.4 to 5.1 or something. And everyone went, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And now everyone's like, we can't even get above 1%. It's mental. The reason I think he's doing it is he's trying to rally the kind of the old, like, trade union-y kind of Labour Party.
And this was at the trade union...
And it's, yes, a lot of this stuff, if you'll actually look at what he wants to do with energy, what he wants to do with North Sea oil, which I don't think we'll disagree with him on.
No, that's fine.
But that's fine, finally, for somebody with some common sense. But, you know, I do think it's about trying to bring back that kind of, like, the red flag kind of Labour Party. That kind of,
It is so old school.
Yeah, it's old school.
And the thing is, look, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say something. OK, shh. Getting close, OK? Don't tell too many people. But there's something a little bit about old Labour. Like, not Blairite, but old, like Bennite Labour. I could be on board with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it ain't going to happen. No. The reason it's not going to happen is because it's 100% unaffordable.
Oh, yeah.
So, number one, this whole idea of renationalising utilities, I've got two things to say. We can't afford it. Not now, not ever. We will never be able to afford it. It has been broken up and sold off to bidders from around the world. China, France, you name it. Everyone owns our stuff. It's also, in the private sector, all of our pensions are tied into that stuff as well, which makes renationalising hard. We are talking trillions to buy this stuff back. And it's not just a case of, oh, yeah, there you go, written a cheque, got it now. No, but then it's sort of when you have things being run by the state, it's even bigger civil service, it's even more people who are being paid by the taxpayer, and, of course, it's all of their future pensions.
100%.
So, you know, dream on, Andy, it ain't ever going to happen. The other one is, I thought Andy Burnham wanted to take us back into the EU. Has he not read
I was just
the
about to
rules
say
of the
this.
single
I'm
market,
just about to say this.
competition regulation? OK, so people, you know, the lefties always go, yeah, but France has got a nationalised rail network because they didn't privatise it.
Yeah.
You cannot nationalise the EU unless you can demonstrate that this is a major crisis, as in the government buying Thames Water or something like that. Unless you can demonstrate this is a major crisis and there's pressing reasons why this has to be done, and actually the state won't have a monopoly, it will be open up to fair competition from the private sector across the continent. You're not allowed. You're not allowed as a member state. And I would bet my bottom dollar, not that I'm the expert on EU law, but I would bet my bottom dollar that part of anything we're signing back up to in terms of sort of, you know, transitioning back into, you know, doing deals with the EU following phyto regular, whatever it may be, single market regulations, taking the sort of rule book. We're just not going to be allowed to do this.
No.
Stop being mad.
I think people will point out the kind of the renationalisation of the steel industry. That is what the EU would allow because it's national security and defence. There is a reason for the government to step in to save it. But yeah, the idea that, you know, you're just going to renationalise water and all this kind of thing and just snap your fingers and there's going to be no consequences to it whatsoever, it's laughable. It's absolutely laughable. And I don't understand how even the more kind of I use this, there's only like 6 of them, but the more moderate members of the Labour Party are going, yeah, this seems OK. Because I'm like, we're relying on you to be the sensible people in that room, and it's just mental.
I'm not going to lie, there's elements. There's elements that I'm like, it would be a nice thing to have. Look, my own personal politics, and no one really cares. You can't vote for just, you know, the Alex party. It's a shame, but you can't. Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's part of me which would quite like to get in a time capsule and go back to a world where state ownership of stuff was possible. But there's a reason stuff had to be privatised, because it's grotesquely unaffordable in the first world, in the sort of 21st century. And it's a bit like when it was a Conservative leadership competition, which at least we had some sort of debate and
yes.
exposure to what their ideologies might be, and they all cosplayed Margaret Thatcher. Well, now you've got Andy Burnham, who seemingly is sad that he didn't have a leadership competition because he wants to tell you what it is all about now. And it's all about Margaret Thatcher. That woman lives rent-free in everybody's head, even in 2026.
Yeah, 100%. But a lot of it seems to be about kind of calming down the trade unions and keeping them from wandering off. If you look at a lot of what Burnham's doing, it's basically handing significant amount of power to the trade unions without having to hand over any more money. Because when you renationalise, obviously, the trade unions will dominate the sector. And you just look what happened in the 70s. The minute that, you know, they didn't like something, they just shut everything down. It's actually very, very dangerous what Andy Burnham's doing, and he's basically doing it so they don't wander off to the Green Party and start giving them money. That's what I think a lot of this actually is to keep the money flowing into the Labour Party,
but
and
also,
the country will suffer for it.
this stuff can't be done. This is the problem.
Yeah.
You can tell that he's a man who sort of lives on tropes and memes and niceness and hashtags and look at my bee-bus or whatever it is. You know, he didn't even invent that bee-bus.
No.
Someone else invented that thing, and he's taking credit for it.
Yeah, do you know, it's quite funny, he nationalised it and it didn't work on the first day.
Did it?
No, none of it, like 4 or 5 of the major bus on the bus routes, they all broke down.
But it is a bit like, you know, I'm kind of sympathetic with the idea of getting back into a time capsule and living in the 90s, because it was the peak of civilization.
Yes, yeah.
It'd be great to be back there. I'd love it. But it ain't going to happen, son.
No.
You know, this ain't Back to the Future.
Well, you know, the thing that I fear, though, is that when a Labour Prime Minister runs out of money, he then starts meddling around in people's lives and messes with the Constitution. That's usually what they do.
It's a-coming.
It's a-coming.
It's a-coming. I tell you what else is a-coming. An advert break.
Yeah.
But we're back just after this.
Some breaking news. 8 men have been charged with rape and child sex offences as part of a grooming gang operation in South Wales. Been charged with more than 30 offences. According to the CPS, the charges relate to 8 victims who were children.
Well, let me start by giving comment on Alison Hernandez, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Devon and Cornwall. She's a stupid, idiotic sycophant.
Anne Widdecombe was murdered, the most high-profile murder in Britain for many, many decades. She was murdered because she supported the reform agenda.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back. If I sort of do funny things with my head,
this is funny.
It's not because of a CPAC gala dinner, it's because I've got Mark Dolan's earpiece in, and I'm not used to it. It's a bulky thing.
You look like you're made of clockwork.
I'm not aware of it on my head.
Really mechanical.
Yeah, my normal little earpiece is this tiny little, almost invisible wire, this tiny little blob on the end that I push deep into my ear canal. This is sort of like, it's got infrastructure.
Yeah, it's a bit more like mine.
It's attached around the side of my head like I'm at direct line inquiries, like trying to sell insurance.
Oh, it's Alex from accounts.
It's Alex from accounts. And I'm so aware of it on the side of my head. I'm like, get off. I feel like it's, oh my God. I've just remembered something really ghoulish that happened to me yesterday.
Oh, God.
I've got to run this past you guys because it was not... If anyone was at CPAC, they would have known what happened to me yesterday because the scream that came out of my mouth was insane. So, you know the first floor, there was that bar where someone all talking animatedly, wine goes in mouth, and all of a sudden I was like, swallowed the wine, there's something in my mouth, and I thought it might be a...
God.
There was a live wasp!
I just, in my head, I was like, I bet you've swallowed
It was
a
an
wasp.
actual... It was crawling like that.
Oh.
It was a live wasp. I went like that, and as soon as I just went... threw it,
Oh, my God.
screamed. Everyone thought there was some sort of jumping under the table.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was trying to find the because when I got off the tube, I was trying to find the way to get in. I was like, oh, look, security, that's where we're going.
I could have gone on Dirty Boat then because I wouldn't have been able to talk if that wasp had stung me on the tongue.
Say.
I was like that.
Yeah.
But no, that was... What do you mean? Of course there's wasps in London. There are picnics in London, therefore there are wasps.
You don't see them half as much.
Well, you don't see as much as the countryside, because the countryside has places for wasps
that's
to
what
play.
I'm saying. Like, I can't remember the last time I actually...
Because of the terror risk, there's not enough dustbins. There's no dustbins.
Oh,
and wasps love a good bin.
Oh, that's very true.
They
I
love
always
a good
say
bin.
that was one of the worst things about the kind of terror preparedness stuff was actually losing dustbins and bins in public places.
Oh, don't you segue from bins into that particular place we're not allowed to talk about.
No,
Do not.
No, I'm not. No,
we're not allowed to mention a certain by-election.
I was so close.
If we start talking about a certain by-election, then it's now sort of purder, and I have to read the list of candidates, and it turns out there's like 5,286 of them. Not the main part it is, but everybody else on planet Earth seems to think that it's good fun to go and, something to do over summer while you're bored. World Cup's over. I know. I'm going to go stand in Clacton. Anyway, let's do some text. I'm enjoying myself this morning.
Yeah, I am actually.
Good spirits, yeah. That's what a right-wing January does to you.
We'll give it an hour after breakfast has worn off, and we'll still see whether we've got the same energy.
I'm good.
I feel all right, actually.
Yeah. Morning, Alex. Thatcher versus Burnham. One Iron Lady, one wet blanket, says Nikki in Bristol. But it is like Andy Burnham's just like, he's fighting a ghost.
I was just thinking, it should have been one Iron Lady, one black T-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he's dropped the T-shirt.
I did notice he put a suit on yesterday.
Yeah.
Is someone going to tell Burnham that the unions brought down the country? Says Becca. Well, we are. Burnham, the unions brought down the country.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But we don't have a big check.
Stephen in London says, I'd rather have Thatcher at her worst than Labour at their best. The best years of my life were under the Thatcher term. Correct.
Yep.
Morning, Alex. Starmer said he's got anti-Semitism out of Labour government. Fair enough. But then he's let it run riot in the UK. That's actually something, right? OK. On a serious note, what on earth did High Street hairdresser think he was doing as one of his main media appearances, going and like hanging out with lug old Lineker to talk about how, you know, wicked Israel is.
Yes.
Like what? Are we talking about foreign policy guru, you know, former footballer Gary Lineker, never known for avoiding a left-wing bandwagon,
oh God, yes.
and Burnham, future Prime Minister, who doesn't understand anything about geopolitics, because he's there, you know, chatting off, isn't he, with Lineker going, I'm going to make sure that not a single bullet or bomb is sold to Israel. I'm like, it's not anyway.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You're fighting a ghost, and now you're doing a weapons embargo on arms that aren't even created or sold, you absolute freak. But someone needs to say to him, you do realise we might send a couple of electronic components that could go into stuff.
Yeah.
In return, the Israeli military give us all sorts of important things that we desperately need to keep us safe.
Oh, yes, definitely. I also find it funny, if you don't like Israel, get rid of your iPhone, get rid of your laptop, because it's all made with tech that's made over there. It's ridiculous. But also, did you not really get the vibe that this was very much Sadiq Khan and James O'Brien?
James O'Brien?
No, James O'Brien, sorry. Like, with that kind of low-ball questioning, they're all kind of matey. It's like, well, you know, I did get questioned kind of thing. It's like that kind of loose relationship that I think Burnham is actually probably going to go down, because the minute he gets in front of, like, a proper journalist,
Some of his
I think it's...
appointments, let's talk about it.
I know, yeah.
The guy who runs Hope Not Hate, well, not...
Yeah,
it's not the guy who runs it, it's not Lowell, is it? But it's,
yeah, he's going to be the new political major strategist at number 10.
There's allegations
Yes.
that they are connected to some pretty horrible entities such as Antifa.
Yeah.
So I've been done over by Hope Not Hate. They once
Yeah,
talked
apparently they had a
to-
file on me at one point.
They hacked into my Facebook and went back to, like, Facebook posts from... I don't know, I think I was like 21 or something. And I was talking about what happens if I drink too much coffee, and I self-referred. So this is sort of like 20 years ago. I self-referred as an idiot, but using a politically incorrect term.
Right.
And they printed off all these leaflets saying I wanted to kill disabled people and started handing them out outside Victoria.
Yeah.
They're mental.
They are mental.
And now they're
Yeah.
in charge of political strategy.
Well,
That's a
you
bit
know,
crazy.
they're not very good at it, so there's always that.
And then the guy in charge of 38 Degrees, who are the campaigning organisation, who just love a good petition.
Yes, and the economics woman, I can't remember what her name is, but like she's the main driver behind. She wanted universal basic income and all that kind of.
Fambulet.
That's the one. Yeah. I was like, I'm not trying to pronounce that at this time in the morning, but yeah, she's mental, and she's basically driving so much of the economic agenda.
Don't you start saying anyone's mental, because Hope Not Hate are going to come after you. See? That's what I'm
Apparently,
talking about.
I got told that they had a file on me.
You've got a file on everyone. This is what is
Yeah.
sinister.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might look all sort of doe-eyed and pleasant and like a PE teacher or a high school hairdresser.
Does look like a PE teacher.
He does look like a PE teacher. Andy for us. But, you know, make no mistake, some pretty sinister appointments seem to be taking place.
Yeah.
Listen, if you want to join the conversation about what to expect from Burnhamism, we want to hear from you. Or whatever else you want to talk to us about. 03444 1000 is the number to call. It's your normal network rate, so it doesn't cost you anything. You can also use the long number to send us a WhatsApp message, 03444 1000, or leave us a voice note, because what do we love, Barnsley?
Oh, with the jingles.
Oh, we actually forgot about the jingles.
Did you? Okay. So,
We haven't got tension bed today
Oh,
either.
we haven't got tension.
We're not doing any of that today.
No.
We got Prince, who's now running his tech hopping for
Who
us.
has the most perfect voice for radio.
He has the best voice to
Yeah.
give instructions in your ear.
Yeah.
It is true. 87222 is the number to send a text message. Write the word talk before you send your text. Right, after the break, we're going to park the politics for a moment. We will be coming back to it, of course, a lot during the course of the show. But there's some really interesting, funny little peccadillos and headlines knocking about in the weekend papers. So we're going to take you on a magical mystery tour of all the other headlines you may have missed. That is coming up just after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
All right, welcome back. What are you talking about there? When we first met, we were discussing our meet cute.
Yeah, the first time we worked together was the Saturday after the last general election.
Was that the first time we'd ever met as well?
I think it was, actually.
Was it love at first sight?
Well, yes.
I think it was.
I think it was, actually. Because I think we made the same joke at the same time. and I think that it's that moment of, like, one of us.
Yeah, the other person.
Yeah.
That's what it's like when I first met Paul Cox. I was just like, I love him.
Yeah.
He is great. And that's it. I've just turned my weekend shows into hanging out with friends, including you.
It's one of those, if you're going to make me work, I'm going to hang out with the people that I like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, welcome to the group. We need to give our friendship group a name. Like, what were they called in Mean Girls? You seem like someone who won't know that at all.
No, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, the plastics and the burn book and everything.
The plastics.
The plastics,
there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
We need to... There you go. Ideas on a postcard,
I love that
please.
you didn't think I would know that from Mean Girls. Do you know anything about gay men? She doesn't even go here. See, now he doesn't know anything about it. Bringing us together.
Now, do you know anything about this? Do you know anything about Piddington?
I don't actually know.
Well, let me tell you a little story about a village called Piddington. So this is an Oxfordshire village, and they were told about 3 weeks ago that their population would shortly be quadrupling. Not because they've had a pretty entertaining late summer last year.
Yeah, well done.
Or,
Good maths.
Was that okay?
Yeah.
The black
Roughly, yeah.
Back clock.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad that I can count. Right, but because it's quadrupling, because the Home Office announced it was preparing to house 1,250 asylum seekers in a Ministry of Defence storage facility on the edge of the village. A week later, a Home Office fact sheet revealed that these would all be single adult males. Well, quelle surprise, of course they're going to be. And they're able to come and go day and night on a sign-in, sign-out basis. So Piddington's like, nope, not on our watch, you can't do that, that's mental, because it is. And so they've responded by voting overwhelmingly for a referendum to seek independence from the United Kingdom.
Amazing.
4 square miles, Piddington is already larger than Monaco and the Vatican. Oh, I like that.
I like that. That's a good fact.
But locals have little faith in their local Lib Dem MP, who proclaimed that Piddington is the wrong site for the asylum letter while signing a letter in support of asylum seekers. This is the problem. You can't be a NIMBY. You want them, have them. If you don't, sort it out. And most importantly, undocumented men able to just sign in and sign out.
I love that bit. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. What are they going to do?
Sign in
it's like
and
when you're
sign out.
It's like when you're at university, you used to say, "Oh, just sign me in, will you?" Just pretend I was there.
Right.
That's literally what will happen. So they'll work together and they'll sign in, and then something will happen. Say, "Well, no, he wasn't there because he was signing at the hotel, or whatever the place is going to be."
So when I was at CPAC yesterday, I had some very serious conversations with people who work in military and especially in intel, geopolitical intel. And one of the conversations we had, it was around the time after I'd swallowed the wasp, spat out the wasp, was about quite how many jihadi training camps there are in the UK. The amount of Islamic centres now who run summer camps, and there are 3 activities that they are all learning to do in these summer camps. And I forget what 2 of them are, which would be helpful to remember. But one of the main ones that they go and do is paintballing. I wonder why. But no, the other one is, that thing, parkour. Running around buildings. There's parkour, paintballing, and there was a third. But basically, you know, this is a guy who is in Five Eyes I was talking to. This is like our own military intelligence, right, that we share with Australia and Canada and New Zealand and the US. And it was sort of like, we just have jihadi training camps now. Loads of them. All up and down the country. How very reassuring. And so here are the willing participants in such outdoor pursuits. Just come and go as you like. It is insane. Good luck, Piddington. Do it. Declare independence. Turn yourself into a right-wing enclave. We'll move there.
Yeah. To be fair, though, if they have a local Lib Dem MP, how did that happen? Because if they don't like the migrant thing, why are they voting for a Lib Dem?
Well, they probably voted. It's
Do you
probably a
think
really nice leafy area, and they voted for Lib Dems because, you know, living in a nice leafy area. What I notice is when you live in a leafy area, politics doesn't matter.
That's true.
Because you just live in this lovely space-time continuum of happiness.
For what the last 18 months, we've all been saying that the moment this starts to hit the private communities, the leafy suburbs, you know, it's not in the city centres anymore. It starts to bleed out. That is when things really will start to change.
That is when it will change. Yeah. And this is it. I mean, the Lib Dems aren't a political party. They're a Tupperware party. No, we all know that. It's sort of like, you know, knitting hemp, singing Kumbaya and talking about everything being nice.
Yeah, and jet skiing.
Jet skiing, yeah. To avoid questions on that time that £275,000 was paid to a certain party political leader to consult for the law firm that was representing the post office. Who might that have been?
I know.
But there you go. I support Piddington in your efforts to become an independent enclave.
Free Piddington.
And here we go, another story from Clown World. An asylum seeker. Like, can we stop playing fast and loose with that term? He's an Albanian burglar. He's not an asylum seeker. He's a crook who came to Britain to nick our stuff, OK? Not asylum seeker. Crook. Right. An Albanian burglar. There we go. Fighting deportation has flaunted his wealth by posting an Instagram video feeding wads of banknotes to his dogs. Now, he's facing deportation for a third time. A third time.
The story just gets more infuriating as it goes on.
I know. Because he's been jailed and deported twice for burglaries before constantly sneaking back into Britain. And as soon as he comes back, he makes all these videos of his extravagant lifestyle on social media, including feeding £20 notes to his pit bull Cobra and £50 notes to his pug called Mouse. Poor pugs can't breathe anywhere. It's going to right on kill him.
Where's the RSPCA in this? Because that can't
Where's everyone? Where's everyone?
I mean...
why is he fighting? Why is he called an asylum seeker? He's a crim who's come into this country to be a crim, who we've jailed. You can't, like, for crying out loud. I mean, his surname's pretty good. Puker. Anyway, he's facing deportation for the third time after the government won a low-tier immigration tribunal hearing. Well, glad we're winning those low-tier ones. That's useful. To remove him from the UK following the rejection of the asylum claim. He's appealed against the ruling. Why do they get to appeal? A Home Office spokesman said the individual is a known foreign national offender and we're doing everything in our power to ensure they're removed as soon as possible. While there are ongoing legal proceedings, we cannot comment further. I want to know this. This is the government. This is the Home Office. This is where laws can be made or changed. This is where the proverbial buck stops. And they're doing everything in their power to try and remove a twice incarcerated, thrice attempted deported Albanian crook who is feeding animals banknotes, and yet the highest office in the land can't do that. Is there anything we can do? Like, what is this?
I know. I do find it funny, though, that the minute you said where the book stops, I thought, well, it doesn't, because he feeds it to the dog. Sorry, that's exactly where my brain... But this is just infuriating.
What happened to your passport? Well, the dog ate it.
Yeah, literally, the homework. But it's interesting you say about the low-tier thing because when it comes to the immigration tribunals, because they're actually the sensible ones. It's when they appeal and it goes to a higher tribunal, that's when all the kind of... right to family life stuff and all this kind of ridiculousness kicks in. Is when it gets up higher up the kind of legal food chain, it always works out in the criminal's favour. And unfortunately, it's actually the lower courts that seem to get all the flack, and they're not the bad ones, to be fair. But again, this guy, I don't understand why he's here. Why can't we just get rid of him? I don't understand this, because it's Albania. It's not...
We should have him in a deportation centre where he should have, you know, basically a bowl of gruel, a bucket to wee in, and a rat to keep him company.
Yeah.
And even that, I think, is being kind.
I mean, what would he feed the rat?
Well...
Yeah, no, but honestly, I do say that in all seriousness. If this was like, you know, something else, the RSPCA would be all over this. Somebody feeding banknotes to a dog is not good for the dog. And there's video evidence of it. I mean, what on earth are we doing? It's awful. Awful.
Oh, wee little thing. Oh, no, don't do that. I mean, I don't even like dogs, but don't do that.
Yeah. The pug is called Mouse.
I know, it's quite a cute name
It's
for a
quite
pug,
cute.
isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that, actually.
Pugs scare me a bit because of that weird heavy breathing that they do.
Agreed.
Anyway.
But no, again, what it's saying here, he stole Rolex watches worth £160,000. Ferrari, like he's got a Ferrari worth 180k. I mean, it's other people's money that this guy has stolen, and he's just living, and he's taunting it in our faces now. That's what they're all doing. They're throwing it back in the faces that they can do whatever they want
but
here.
they can.
Yeah.
They can. And yet if I accidentally get stuck in a yellow box driving back to the West Country, that's me done for.
Yeah.
Oh, if my speedometer ticks up to 23, that's me done for.
Yeah. Yeah, one dodgy tweet, straight to prison.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, again, another day, another story about some sort of sex attack
this is
at the
awful.
hands of migrants. Now, the story the other day of those 3 migrant men, there was a couple of Afghans and an Iranian who raped that wee young girl. Utterly vile. And they got 21 years custodial sentences each. Again, send them home.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's always about Bournemouth. I was speaking to a lovely woman from Bournemouth the other day, and she was just saying it's changed so much.
Yeah.
And it seems to just be, you know, if you want to go and get sexually assaulted or raped, off you go. Go to Bournemouth. Again, another incident there. If you look at the crime statistics, in fact, can you do that in the corner there?
Yes,
Can you
I
do a
will.
little...
I'll do
because
my Susie
someone
Dent
did
in the
an FOI into sex attacks in Bournemouth to Dorset Police, and it's gone up like 100% or so, something mental, but let's find that out. So I'll read you this latest story as my glamorous assistant sees if he can find out the statistics on the increase in sex attacks in Bournemouth. But a woman was allegedly sexually assaulted while swimming with her family in Bournemouth. She's in her 40s. And a man in the sea decided to come over, approached her family as they swam to the left of the pier and decided to touch her up. Of course, the man is from London. They always say that, don't they? He's from London. Yeah, well, go on then. But we know he's of Indian descent, 5'6", black hair, small stubbly beard, wearing a white T-shirt and black shorts. Anyway, this incident comes after 2 women were allegedly sexually assaulted on the same day in June. The first attack was reported at 3, involved a woman in her 20s, the second in her late teens. Police were alerted an hour later. The women were both allegedly touched inappropriately over their clothing, with the first incident having taken place in the sea. Police officers arrested 2 men after attending both incidents. A 37-year-old man from London was arrested on suspicion of sexual assault. A 24-year-old man, also from London, was arrested in connection with the second. Both have been released on bail, but they've been banned from visiting Dorset. Well, there you go. That makes us feel much safer. Mohammed Abdullah, 19, was found guilty of raping and sexually assaulting a 19-year-old woman in a beach toilet in Bournemouth. In a separate incident in the seaside town, a Syrian refugee was found guilty in May of raping and sexually assaulting a 19-year-old woman after he offered her a ride home. I mean, it just seems to me that... Look, let's talk about this for exactly what it is. There are men coming from countries and cultures where they don't see a woman in, you know, state of undress. Not in the flesh, anyway. They probably get their fill on, you know, porn websites. But they come over here thinking that, well, that's what we do, isn't it? After all the content they've seen online, that's what it's all about over in Britain. Just come and do what you like. We're here for your pleasure, my friend. And so that's it. They come over and they go straight down to the beach because they can't help themselves. They desperately want a little bit of titillation, don't they? Even when you look at some of the videos that people traffickers put on platforms such as TikTok to advertise their wares, to say, come over to Britain, it's great here. Look, there's women in bikinis for you to grope and rape. This is very clear. Some of these people are, whether or not they come to the country with it in mind that they want to try and have a go on the local women as their primary concern, as their main motivation, it is certainly on their bucket list. It is on many of their to-do lists because this toxic combination of a hypersexualised country with unregulated, unlimited pornography that often portrays Caucasian women as the subjects of fetish and fantasy. And then you get these men from very conservative cultures, if we're going to put it in a mild way, who have quite misogynistic attitudes towards women and might have particularly negative attitudes towards Western women. Well, they come over, off they go to the beach. What do they think is going to happen? Huh? And what are they doing about it? What are they doing about it, pray tell? Did you get the stats there?
It says there's an alleged figure of 44% of all sexual offences in Dorset area is allegedly done by a asylum seeker or migrant.
44%.
Yeah. Though it's very a hotly contested figure because, you know, heaven forbid that we point out the truth. Yeah.
Heaven forfend, we actually
Yeah.
have the,
Yeah.
identity of anybody.
Yeah, but
committing a sexual
just in
assault.
general, the statistics are, let's just say, low and then very high in the same period that you have the small boats. I mean, yeah, my favourite is like Dorset Police said, oh, well, the uptick is people coming forward. I was like, not that many, fair enough, there's campaigns for people to come forward and report these crimes. Not this many. Like, not for like one reason to justify.
I hate the way they sort of go, the number of incidents has gone up because more women are reporting it. It isn't true.
Yeah.
I actually think fewer women report sex crimes these days because they just think, what's the point? You're not going to do anything. You're not going to believe me. You're not going to arrest anyone. Justice won't be done. In fact, I run the risk of being the one who's somehow prosecuted or persecuted. It's lies. It's gaslighting. But it's lying and gaslighting against one of the most important subjects in any civilization. The protection of women and girls. Right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to read some more messages and we're going to talk about one Mr. Farage because he sat down with the boys of Trig the other day on trigonometry and interesting things were revealed. We're discussing that and also in the wake of the horrific murder of Anne Widdecombe. The truth about how Parliament downgraded Nigel Farage's security. That's after this.
Some breaking news. 8 men have been charged with rape and child sex offences as part of a grooming gang operation in South Wales. Been charged with more than 30 offences. According to the CPS, the charges relate to 8 victims who were children.
Well, let me start by giving comment on Alison Hernandez, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Devon and Cornwall. She's a stupid, idiotic sycophant.
Anne Widdecombe was murdered, the most high-profile murder in Britain for many, many decades. She was murdered because she supported the reform agenda.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, back we come. Let's talk now about Nigel Farage and security, because I remember this because I was sitting in his studio reporting on this, and, I still have a chit-chat with Nigel. We've known each other for multiple decades now, and I consider him a friend, and so, I don't work for him, but as a friend, we do catch up from time to time. He might call me if he's feeling a little bit down, like I might call him if I'm feeling a little bit down. Honestly, he's a good friend to have, actually. He's a nice man.
Yeah, actually, to be fair, he actually said hello to me yesterday.
He's a very nice man.
He's a very nice guy.
He's a very, very nice guy. If he ever hears that anything's, gone on in my life, he's the first person to pick up the phone and just say, right, love, just checking in on you. Are you okay? Because he's just a dear, dear man, actually, underneath it all. But anyway, I remember this very clearly because I was reporting on it from this here studio, and it was in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. So when Nigel Farage was first elected as MP for Clacton, but also leader of Reform UK, he was given 8 taxpayer-funded bodyguards and the use of 2 cars. Now you might turn around and go, why do you need that? But you need it because actually when you are doing a series of events or going around and being publicly exposed, going to various events or, whether it's a conference here or a press call up there or whatever, those people who work in security will understand this. Those who don't might not. But you often have to have a recce vehicle going out, scoping out the joint, you know, looking at entrances, egresses, where threats might be, consulting with the police, particularly if they're going to be planned protests. And it isn't just a case of, oh, you know, Kevin Costner in The Bodyguard, you know, just one man and a wooden chalet with some nice scenic snow and some banging 80s hits. No, it's very often quite a complex operation. So that is what he was given, knowing that he was a very high profile and probably one of the most at-risk politicians. And then after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, they stripped it down to one bodyguard. And Nigel just went, I can't do this. You know, walking around one bodyguard isn't going to mean that the venues won't be checked out. My team aren't going to be safe. He hasn't got, you know, eyes like a spider. You know, he can only see one place at one time. This is not going to provide enough protection. And I don't know. I just despair at the games that are being played over security right now. I think it was done with intent back then to strip him of security. The other thing I find pretty disgusting, I believe willful and utterly abhorrent, is the fact that at the same time they used the Labour Party conference to constantly just repeat messages calling reform hateful, divisive, politics of hate, politics of division, gotta be stopped. And I think they do, like, look, I'm sorry, I don't mean to put on a tinfoil hat, but I think they do it deliberately. I think they know what they're doing.
I'm going to tread very carefully on this one. I also think reform play the same narratives against the Labour Party. If we're being honest, let's be real. The number of times we can't afford another Labour government, the country can't afford it. We've impugned the integrity of many, many Labour MPs, calling them traitors. We've said they're involved in the selling off of islands, involved with cabals of the Fabian Society.
But hold on.
I'm just saying that you could make the same accusation.
No, I don't know, because I think, you know, criticising a government for locking people up for tweets, which they did, for, you know, giving away British overseas territories, which they want to do.
What has happened is you've criticised the intent behind the action.
But what I've realised, I was thinking about this last night.
Yeah.
It's the framing of this. It's the emotive framing of this. The right attack the left for the boneheaded things that they do, which are wrecking the country. The left wing hate us.
Oh,
they hate us because they think that we've won the lottery of life and somehow we've got their stuff. We've got better stuff than them, and therefore, you know, we need to be. They just want to stop us, and it is different. The framing's different.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, it's definitely much more physical violence focused on the left. I mean, when their actual symbol is a fist. I mean, what do we expect?
And words like Nazi and fascist and extremist and far right and all of that stuff. I don't think it's like for like. I don't think one can conflate
like for like,
critiquing politics with actually saying that someone is the devil incarnate. Although I did just call Starmer an automaton without a soul.
And I mean, literally, we said that, you know, the word traitor is thrown around with wanton abandon by the right, and that is just as a kind of very emotive, very powerful word, and it's about framing. And I do think I think everybody just has to ratchet it down
on framing, actually, because it leads into this, which is quite interesting. Let's have a little listen to this clip of Nigel Farage on trigonometry, because this might actually involve a discussion about framing.
Nobody can buy me. Nobody can bully me. Nobody can tell me what to say. You want some evidence of that? Elon Musk. All right, Elon Musk, who was holding out offers potentially of very large sums of money, not for me, but for the party. But he asked me to do a series of things and say a series of things.
What happened with Elon, by the way? Why did you fall out?
Because he wanted me to come out publicly and support Tommy Robinson. And I said, I can't do that. I said, you know, he wanted me to come out and talk about deportations of illegals before we had a plan.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Nigel has basically said, we want to do this properly, we want to formulate a policy, we will announce it in due course, we're not going to muddle politics with sort of folk... I always think Tommy Robinson's a folklore hero in many respects. He's not a politician, but he is beloved and well-liked among a huge swathe of the population. We do have to acknowledge that. You know. But the two are separate entities. And, you know, Farage said to Elon, we're not going to come and start, you know, yelling like a foghorn about remigration or mass deportations until we've sat there and looked at the mechanics of what we can deliver. Now, I think that's grown-up politics and grown-up framing, if I'm honest.
I agree. It's grown up. That's the way it should be done. My thing is, you're going to have to prove that claim about Elon. the accusation was there.
I think it's meted out by the fact that Nigel said it publicly and meted out by what we have seen Elon supporting.
Saying it publicly is one thing, but Elon will say, prove I said that. I think that is the thing now. I think that is the thing. We trust, but we verify.
Fair enough, but I think we can see what Elon is constantly reposting on X. Yeah, and it is exactly the sort of stuff being said and done that Nigel says he wouldn't say and do. Yeah. So I think, you know, using just the basics of Occam's razor, I think we can see... The fact that,
to be fair, Nigel did say that mass deportations were not viable at all.
Well, that's
so. Then that is somewhat of a.
Are they? We can't even seem to send home an Albanian burglar twice in prison. So you know, you might have a bit of a point.
We can't even deport the people that say, "Please deport me." So.
Right. So no, it is an interesting one. It's an interesting topic when it comes, and they've been, you know, reform has been punished. They've lost percentage points, quite frankly,
quite a lot
for taking that sort of, say, more pragmatic stance. Anyway, guys, we've got to take an advert break in the near future. But before we do that, let's do a bit of housekeeping. If you want to give us a call, it's 0344 499 1000. It's your normal network rate. You can also use that number to send me a WhatsApp or leave me a voice note. 87222 is the number to send a text. Write the word talk before you send your message. We're back just after this when we're joined by Graham Stringer, Labour MP for Blackley.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning, welcome back. Can I just say, Mr. Barnes, I really enjoyed our first hour. I think this might be one of our best yet, and I don't know why, but it just feels chewy.
It does, doesn't it? I think it's because we've got good stories.
We've got good meat.
It's good, yeah.
Well, it's not every day that you get a new Prime Minister in this country.
True.
Just every other year. Basically, that's where we're at.
What do they always say? Like, losing one is careless, losing two.
Losing eight.
Yeah, maybe we're the problem.
eight bitten, eight times as shy. Oh, goodness gracious me. I mean, I mean, we do live in a fast
I
life,
know,
don't
yeah. We used to laugh at Italy and Australia. Now look at us.
I know.
Wait, tomorrow was phrase. They're not laughing now.
Giorgia Meloni is about to become the longest-serving Italian Prime Minister since the Second World War.
Yes.
Well done, Giorgia.
Me and my partner, we call her Mama Meloni.
I love her.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
We all love her.
She's brilliant.
She is brilliant. But anyway, so Andy Burnham, on Monday, stuff happens. I don't know what stuff, ceremony
He goes to doesn't he go to the king?
And goes, and then what?
Yeah, the king will say, "Can you form a government?" And
Right,
Andy
he goes,
says,
yeah.
"Yes," and then they get on with it.
Then we finally find out what is in store.
I know, yeah.
Because right
he
now
did
we don't
say,
really know.
"I have a plan," and I was like, "Is it a cunning plan?" Because it sounds very Baldrick-esque from Blackadder.
No, I think if we're going to do movie... No, what? I said the word movie.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Film.
I was going to move past it. But
Film. I hate using Americanisms. I love America, God bless America and all the rest, but I don't want your isms. Yeah. If this were a film, I would think it's like Ghostbusters 5 at this point. You know, Andy Burnham in his little black T-shirt come back to fight the ghost of Margaret Thatcher.
It really
or
is,
Scooby-Doo, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, he did... Where was he doing his speech yesterday?
The TUC headquarters.
Yeah, Trade Unions Congress headquarters.
Yeah.
So basically, he went to his favourite hangout.
Yeah, we can't go near there. We burst into flames.
They won't let us. So he went to the Trade Union Congress Centre, which, you know, big union HQ, and made a speech from 1996, it seems. Before we speak to Graham, let's have a little listen, shall we, at Andy Burnham in action.
I am clear, Britain took a series of wrong turns in the 1980s. Political power was centralised and economic power was privatised. The country surrendered control of the essentials: housing, water, energy, transport, and left people exposed to higher costs. That in turn led to the concentration of more wealth and power in the hands of fewer people and fewer places.
Now, this might be music to Mr. Graham Stringer's ears, because Peter and I were talking in the last hour how actually there's a little part of me inside which is a bit old Labour, like Tony Benn Labour, a little bit, you know, proper old look after the working classes Labour.
My old professor called it vintage Labour.
Vintage Labour.
Vintage Labour.
Yeah. There's a part of me which kind of thinks that's nice, but there's a very realistic part of me which says you can't go back there. You can't renationalise, it costs too much money. I mean, it's just blimmin' impossible, quite frankly, and also our mates in Brussels wouldn't allow us. Because in the era of Margaret Thatcher, who Andy Burnham still lays all the problems of the world at her feet, this was kind of really pre-mass globalisation. This was pre-net zero, when you could chug a load of coal in a power station. This was before short-haul flights, when everyone was much more mobile and working in lots of different countries and far more geographically spread. This was pre-internet. This was pre-mass migration. This was a world that is so dramatically different today that trying to take the politics of, I don't know, 1964 and impose them onto 2026, I just don't think it's going to work. And also, where are the big issue items? Why aren't we talking about mass immigration, illegal immigration, defence, critical things that this country faces? Instead, we're just resurrecting the ghost of Margaret Thatcher because it's a political trope. Where is the substance? What is his intent? Let's speak to Graham Stringer MP, who's the Labour MP for Blackley and Middleton South. Welcome to the show, Graham. Have I woken up in, like, 1995? Like, what was that speech all about?
Well, not enough, really. It was a very positive, happy sort of speech, but it didn't contain very much analysis. It didn't contain hard numbers, hard detail of what he was going to do. The basic problem in this country at the moment, some of which come from the 1980s, some of which comes from more recent decisions by government or world problems, is that the economy isn't doing very well. And before we can do many of the things that Andy wants to do, and I agree with him what he's saying about decentralisation, we have to have the money. That means getting the economy to grow more than it is doing at the moment. So how he was going to do that in detail was absent. And you're right about small boats, immigration, the health service, energy policy. He's very light on detail on those issues. Hopefully, when he's set up his cabinet, we will know more about those things.
This is my problem, OK, Graham, with this idea of decentralisation, this idea of democracy being spread sort of broader and wider. I mean, I kind of think democracy is like a piece of butter on toast. I quite like it thick, like an inch high, where I can really taste the greasiness. And the bigger the piece of toast and the thinner it's spread, the less I taste the richness of its content. But when it comes to decentralisation, what I would like to see is actual sort of a right-wing version of decentralisation, as in less nanny state, less state control, more strength to the elbow of SMEs, more investment all around the country to try and boost our economy and generate actual growth. What he seems to mean is decentralisation as in creating more state-backed jobs, whether it is, you know, state-run utilities, which means that those people end up essentially being at least supported by taxpayers' money. Their pensions certainly would be. Then also, as well as the renationalisation, further devolution, which, as far as I'm personally concerned, is more bureaucracy, more apparatchiks, more pen pushers. When I look at where these policies have been meted out, for instance, in Wales and Scotland, both of those devolved governments run a budget deficit of about £26 billion in terms of what they spend compared to tax revenue that they would get if they were independent tax-raising powers. And 1 in 4 jobs in Wales, for instance, is now for the government. And I kind of think that's a false economy. And, you know, if that is your politics, great, but the IMF have just told us you can't keep paying stuff from national coffers. The money's not there anymore. You need to get more money in. And that is what I'm worried about. It just seems to be, you know, it's sort of, let's say, university politics, the politics of sort of broad brushstrokes and bold visions and niceness. But in what world can any of this stuff be remotely executed?
Well, you're mixing up lots of things there. If you're talking about decentralisation of political power, then I think I go quite a long way with you, that you can only devolve if you also devolve tax-raising powers. At the moment, Andy seems to mean by devolution, the sort of structures that we've got for mayors. Basically, those structures are very limited powers, and they are dependent on money from central government. Whereas real democracy, as the sort of American colonialists said, no representation without taxation. And what Andy seems to be proposing is representation with no taxation. Unless you have a relationship between the elected local government and money raised, then it's really just an outpost of central government. So I'd be interested in what Andy has to say about that. But I think he is just really going to create elected quangos rather than really decentralising things. On the point you make about bureaucracies and nationalised industries, again, it depends. Water privatisation has been a disaster. People have siphoned billions of money out of this country to tax havens and produced a very bad service. At least if they were under national control in some way, then you could vote to change the government, you could influence the policies, so we wouldn't have E. coli in the sea and sewage in our rivers.
Look, I actually agree with absolutely what you say. The problem I have with this is the execution of it, because buying back these utilities costs. It's not.
That's right.
It's ridiculous amounts of money.
There's a huge cost in buying them back. And one of the things that Andy forgets is we have, or could have if it was done properly, much more control over these companies because they're regulated. It's just that the regulators have completely failed to do their job.
I mean, what's interesting is that alongside this speech, a little story that a lot of people might have missed today is I think aren't the Chinese taking our government to court for basically renationalising British Steel because they had invested in it. And so what people don't understand is a lot of our utilities, and this should never have happened in in my opinion. I think this was an utter disgrace to put critical infrastructure like water in the hands of not just the private sector, but foreign powers, and foreign powers who, quite frankly, I do not trust. But, you know, again, as much as part of me would love to get in the Andy Burnham time machine and go back into a world where actually this hadn't happened or can be reversed, it really isn't a case of, you know, let's stand behind a lectern at the TUC, wave a magic wand, make a line in a speech, and it's all going to be resolved. It is so complex and, quite frankly, edging towards impossible to achieve.
I don't believe in impossible as a word in government. Difficult, yes. And you need a detailed plan, costed, to do it, not just headline-grabbing cliches. So I agree with you. But I don't think we can leave utilities, particularly like water. That's the worst example in the state they are. We either have to have better regulation, better control, put them into special companies, do something with them. We can't go on poisoning our waters. I mean, one of the bizarre things about what John Major did, not Margaret Thatcher, in privatising the railways, which are now run by nationalised rail companies from other countries. The dreadful service I get on the West Coast Main Line is run by Italian national railways, and it's awful.
Oh, I agree. But also, this is something that's going to be close to your heart, Graham. Knock, knock. Who's there? It's Brussels. What don't Brussels like? The idea that a state, even though we're not a member state anymore, although if it was Burnham's choice, he would have that being so, they don't like this idea that there can be a competitive edge because a state invests in its own entities. And a huge element of the reason why I'm pretty sure Italy runs the West Coast Main Line is because of our friends in Brussels and competition regulation, and everything has to be put out to tender to European companies. They should have a slice in our market. We shouldn't have any sort of advantage where we get to run, own, control or even profit from anything in this country. And so it's completely at odds with some of the overtures he's made about a closer relationship with Brussels.
Well, they're in direct contradiction.
Right.
I mean, you could summarise Andy's view, as much as he stated it, is this country should buy British more often. And I agree with that. But he also wants to take us back into the EU, or at least be regulated by them, where that would be prohibited. So he has to make his mind up about those things, and I think when he looks at it, he will understand, wherever his heart is, that we can't go back into the EU if we want to make decisions ourselves that benefit this country. When you ask the question to the public about whether they think it was a good idea leaving the EU, there's a bit of buyer's remorse, as there always is. When we went in, people regretted that. So if you say, would you vote to go back in, and you point out the costs of going back in, because we wouldn't go back in with a discount, we'd have to accept the euro, we'd have to accept control over our laws, people say no, or 80 or 90% of people say no. So it's not going to happen.
No, exactly. And actually, I think that even sort of realignment, dynamic realignment with the EU, where we sort of, you know, become a rule taker in order to sort of apparently create less friction in our trade, will often mean aligning with things like competition regulation. So I think that Andy Burnham will soon find his dream of renationalisation will be up in flames. But the problem I have with this, Graham, is to me, it suggests that this is a man who's not even remotely politically literate. If he can't understand the bare basics of saying we want to dynamically align with the EU and renationalise. Now, OK, to a lot of people out there with normal jobs who don't live in the world of politics, that might seem like a very intelligent and smart insight that I have. But he's our Prime Minister. You know, he's not a hairdresser from the high street. He's a man who's about to run the country. And it seems to me his main intent is fighting the ghost of Margaret Thatcher. And I just don't think that we have not got time to mess about with whimsical ideology when we have major crises on our hands, none of which he has addressed, none. He's not addressed defence. He's not addressed immigration. He's not addressed crime. He's not addressed geopolitical threat and the state of, security in these countries. These aren't laughing matters. We are at a very difficult position right now in the United Kingdom. We have big issues that need big answers. And what we're getting is some sort of strange rendition of a 1980s political campaign where it's a sort of, the demonisation of capitalism versus the good people from the shop floor. OK, great, it's nice, it plays a good narrative. It might have a few old Labour voters who are looking at reform, think, oh, that's music to my ears. But it's not serious. And the legacy media are not scrutinising any of it. They're not asking the difficult questions. They're not challenging him, going, by the way, you're factually wrong. You don't understand. You're about to run the blimmin' country, my friend, and you should probably do a bit of boning up.
One of the reasons I've had 3 opportunities to either vote for Andy as leader twice or nominating this time, one of the reasons I've not done that is either his answers when he was challenged in the twice he had competition to be leader of the Labour Party. His answers have been unsatisfactory. He started off, I think, in 2010 as favourite and lost, and he was well fancied to win in 2015 and lost because he couldn't answer those questions. And this time he's not being challenged. I was very keen that there should be a challenger. I'm very keen that he should spell out the detail of his plans, because I share, to a certain extent, not exactly, some of your worries that when you get into the detail of this policy, it isn't there. And it is very complex, very difficult. There are problems we face which you list. We've got an economy not doing very well. We live in a dangerous world. And both the Labour Party and the country need answers to those questions. And while Andy has been running his campaign to be leader, there have been no such answers.
This is what worries me. All I'm getting so far from Burnhamism is something that's extremely saccharine, very fast melting. It's lollipop politics, isn't it, basically? It's, once the summer's gone, it's going to be a puddle of nonsense on the floor. And yet we're waiting to find out who might be in Cabinet. Apparently Angela Rayner is being tipped to become the Health Secretary. That is another department which is in constant crises. Her instinct, it seems, when it comes to workers' rights is to keep handing out, and we know what the medical unions are like. We know the demands they make. We know that the sort of Damocles of we're going to go on strike again is constantly hanging over whoever is the Health Secretary, and I worry about that pairing up. I worry about the suggestion that Miliband Senior could be brought back from abroad where he's lived for 13 years, appointed as a Lord and made Foreign Secretary. Not because I think he'd be a terrible Foreign Secretary. That's not the premise of my worry, although I don't really hold out hope that it'll be a great one. But more that what does it show us? That we've got to the point now that we just, resurrect whoever we want, give them a peerage, and our mate can have a job even though they haven't lived here for 13 years. To me, all of this looks so flimsy, so plastic, that I want to know who's behind Andy Burnham, because he doesn't seem to have many ideas. He seems to be the nice smiling face in the black T-shirt with the very sort of emoji-fiable face. But, who is the team? Who's made the decisions? Who's pulling the strings, Graham?
Well, I don't know who's pulling the strings. We will know who he chooses for his cabinet on Monday, and it will tell us a lot more than we know at the present time. It will tell us, depending where Ed Miliband is put, the future of our energy policy. And I hope he's going to change the energy policy so that we don't fail to use the natural assets that we've got of gas and oil in the North Sea. It was crazy not to use that. Not that it would affect the international price of gas, but it would create jobs. Aberdeen is being turned into a wasteland as the jobs disappear, and there's no need for them to disappear, because when you look at the impact of our policies, it's had virtually zero effect on the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, but it has created jobs in China at the expense of jobs here. So details like that are important. In politics, just to say your point, I think there are two things people are concerned about. One, they want to know if the Prime Minister is on their side, if the political party is on their side. And they didn't believe Keir Starmer was. I think the way Andy is presenting himself is to say, I really am on your side and understand what you're doing. But on the second point, they also want to know how much money they will have in their bank accounts or their purses and wallets in order that they can cope with the cost of living, which is increasing. That's what all elections are about. Are you on my side? And will I have enough money to buy a house? Will I have enough money to put food on the table? And on the first one, Andy is clearly hitting home as being on people's side, but he is not persuading anybody that he knows what to do about the economy.
I don't think he does, and that is quite alarming given the dire straits that we're in. Graham, thank you ever so much. Graham should be leader of the Labour Party.
I was
that's
on...
my sort of...
Yeah.
Graham's my sort of lefty politics.
Yeah, I was on with Ian Collins on Thursday, and Graham was on just before me, and I said, I'm not being funny, but if Graham Stringer was leader of the Labour Party, I think politics would be very different right now.
There are good people in you know, on both sides of the fence in politics.
Yeah, really
unfortunately, we just get the dross.
Yes,
constantly.
Unfortunately, yeah. Because, you know, people like Graham don't sell out.
No,
They don't sell out. They don't sell out. They keep the principles.
And they're proper practitioners. They're not these people who just want to be sort of celebs, which a lot of politicians, that's what it's all about these days.
Can I just say, Graham touched on something so important there about what elections and what voters actually care about, and that's the cost of living, money in the bank account. And do you feel like the government is on your side? Do you feel that you're going to get a fair shot at something? That is so important. The element of fairness that does not exist in this country at the moment
is
staggering.
I'll tell you what is a win. At least we're not being verbally abused anymore.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
For now.
For now. Give it time.
All right, listen, we're going to take a short break. After that, it'd be amazing to chat with some of you. So if you'd like that to be you, why don't you make it your very first time? If you've not called before, here is your golden opportunity, because what could be better at 11:30 on a Saturday morning than hanging out with us in our little friendship group that we haven't named yet?
No.
We're going to come up with something.
Oh, yeah, I don't like plastics.
Oh, it's not plastics. No, we can't call ourselves that.
No.
The Patriots.
That's a bit too
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, also send us a message. 03444 999 1000 is the number to call, or send us a WhatsApp. 87722 is the number to text. Write the word talk before you text, and we're back just after this.
Some breaking news. 8 men have been charged with rape and child sex offences as part of a grooming gang operation in South Wales. Been charged with more than 30 offences. According to the CPS, the charges relate to 8 victims who were children.
Well, let me start by giving comment on Alison Hernandez, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Devon and Cornwall. She's a stupid, idiotic sycophant.
Anne Widdecombe was murdered, the most high-profile murder in Britain for many, many decades. She was murdered because she supported the reform agenda.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, hello. Right, let's jump straight to a call, shall we now,
Yes,
Mr. Barnacles? Because we're joined by Matt, who is in Cheshire. Do you think Matt might have the clues to what Manchester is?
Maybe.
Maybe he does.
He lives in
He's
Cheshire.
up there. Well,
He's
it's
up there,
kind of
close
greater
enough.
Manchester, isn't it? You know, I don't know. It's a bit like London. I don't know where it ends anymore.
No.
Too far. But anyway, Matt, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning, Alex. And yeah, I have been to Manchester indeed.
How is it down there? Is it the shining Elysian fields of peace and prosperity and progress that Andy Burnham has turned it into? Is it utopia?
I said on Talk about 2 years ago, there was a project in Manchester started by Andy Burnham called Little Islington. And that tells you everything you need to know about Labour's sort of path forward. Let's just turn Manchester into like an identikit London, just on a smaller scale. Loads of immigrants, loads of crime, loads of drugs, a few towers, and everyone will be fooled by it. And Andy Burnham seems to conveniently forget that he was part of a government in the 90s that started the decline in Britain, and 4 million Eastern Europeans coming into Britain and taking jobs and housing and opportunities of British citizens. And he also simultaneously has already forgotten how he has neglected all the rest of Manchester apart from the city centre, which the media are now waking up to, and I've been saying on Talk for 4 years.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right here. And also, he's just whitewashed over the biggest topics. You know, we all know about the huge cover-ups that took place when it came to grooming gangs, so many of which took place in Greater Manchester. Again, let's just push that to one side. Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about crime. Let's not talk about illegal immigration. Let's not talk about the most pressing subjects. Let's just create this completely false utopian narrative of Manchesterism and then not tell anyone what it is. I'm sorry, that's a bit like blimmin' The Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. It's like, oh, you want to go down there, do you? Hang out with Aslan, get through that wardrobe, it's all great. It's just madness. And what is sickening me the most, because when I sit in here and do this job and have, you know, my glamorous assistant in the corner there in the form of Peter Barnes, is we like to dig into the detail. We like to point out that you can't renationalise things with dynamic alignment with the EU. Guess what? Most journalists don't even understand that because they're stupid. But we do. And we like to actually give you proper, well-researched, intelligent political analysis based upon truth, based upon interrogation, based upon facts. And yet, the BBC, which Barnsley and I have just renamed the Burnham Broadcasting Corporation, had a strap up there a few minutes ago. Oh, Andy Burnham's vision, there you go, it's on the screen now. And basically their strap said the clues, what was it? I wrote it down. The clues to the ideology of Manchesterism. Could you imagine, right, in the era of Jeremy Paxman or Andrew Neil rigorously challenging our political leaders saying, how much is that going to cost? What is the amount of government debt? What is the amount what is our GDP to borrowing ratio? You know, what department is that coming from? Where are you going to save money in order to do this? What is the price tag of renationalisations? How does this work alongside dynamic realignment? What are you going to do about HMOs? When you're talking about devolving power, who actually holds the competencies for things like deciding where so-called asylum seekers are placed? You know, the detail, right? Once upon a time, you would have to, if you're about to become Prime Minister, sit and have a 3-hour-long grilling at the hands of some sort of media titan who has done their research, knows their onions, are going to make you sweat like you're being held in some sort of, you know, police interview, because we, the general public, deserve to know. But instead now, we've got a load of leftist campaigning saps taking money from the licence fee who are just going, let's look at the clues to Manchesterism. What is this? Like, it feels like an omnibus book from, you know, the 1990s. Turn over the next page and see if you can spot Andy Burnham driving a bus. Lollipop politics. Saccharine and melt the minute the spotlight is shone on it. See, I've coined that term. Let's see if that spreads. Lollipop politics. I like it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I find it funny you mentioned the Elysian Fields. I just say, look at Piccadilly Gardens. That's what he's turned it into, because, you know, it's so right. Well, you actually look at Manchester. The city centre has done very well out of it. The further you go out of the centre, Andy Burnham has just forgotten that he was Mayor of Greater Manchester and not just Manchester. Like, it is
Mayor of the Northern Quarter.
Yeah, literally, because the Northern Quarter basically is...
It's the hipster bit.
Yeah, it's basically trying to be Islington or like Soho kind of area, and you do feel it is very Londony. It is very, very like that. But you go one street further out, and it is literally...
And you'll be stabbed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way it is. Lollipop politics, ladies and gentlemen.
Like that, yeah.
I know, I like it as well. I'm going to proliferate that, and you heard it here first, because I often find
I really like Burnham Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah, that's going to be
I
nicked.
really like that one.
I mean, I also said the Burnham Bounce, and everyone's saying that, but I think that was an obvious one.
Yeah.
I reckon people have come up with that by themselves. Burnham Broadcasting Corporation, they'll come up with by themselves as well. But lollipop politics, if anyone else says that, that was me.
Yeah.
I invented it. Anyway, keep your thoughts coming in. 03444991000 is the number to call. It's your normal network rate. You can use that number to send me a WhatsApp message, or you can leave me a voice note on WhatsApp. Why do I sound like a horse racing commentator?
I was just about to say that.
Hey, I just got into the flow then.
Either that or you're doing the terms and conditions on something.
Yeah, the terms and conditions on Andy Burnham. Let us know if you know the small print underneath Manchesterism. You can give us a call on 03444991000. It's your normal network rate. You can also send us WhatsApp to that number. Leave us a voice note on WhatsApp. 8722 is the number to send a text message right to it before you text talk. And also that is your normal network rate, and we won't hold you to account for anything you say, but please don't say anything that could get us in trouble with Ofcom. That's it. Thanks. Bye. See you after the break.
Here at Talk, we're giving you the chance to win a massive £26,000. The question is, what would you do with all that money?
I don't know. We've got a wedding.
I would buy a camper van.
Probably just like clothes, yeah.
Not on a big holiday. Immigrate.
So if you fancy getting your hands on £26,000 tax-free, here's all the details you need to enter.
For your chance to win, visit talk.tv/win or text TALK to 83338 by 6 p.m. on the 20th of July 2026. Texts cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or send your name and number by post to Comp 1, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, to arrive by midnight on the 23rd of July 2026. 18 plus, UK residents only. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talk.tv/win.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Now, just before the break, we were discussing, weren't we, lollipop politics?
Yes.
Which, and Emma, who joins us now, is so excited about discussing lollipop politics. She's been advanced messaging me during the advert break. I'm like, save it tomorrow on air. I love Emma Trimble, political commentator, good friend of mine. Lollipop politics then became lollipolitics. And now I think we've just refined it down to lollitics.
Yeah.
Lol. But it is, I keep saying, it's like the emojification, the memification of politics. Andy for us with a little cartoon. And that's it. And then by the time we actually hear him say something, he's talking about Margaret Thatcher. Like, come on, where is the depth? Where is the just scrutiny? Where is the accountability? Where is the, you know, the acknowledgement we're living through in real time, multiple political crises, and what are we being given? I don't know, a comic book character?
It's all vibes, and it's funny. He says he wants to go back to the 1970s, but he sounds like one of those characters, like Disco Stew or something. Symptoms. It's all vibes, babe. It's all vibes.
Well, no, the thing is, it is all vibes, but it works these days. This is what is quite disappointing. Vibes do work on people. Not as many people as engaged in politics in the way we are, as we sometimes like to think that they are. Especially, you know, you look at polling on these things, it's like name a politician, and people are like, Winston Churchill. You'd be surprised how many people out there are entirely disengaged, but do completely run off the fumes of reform bad, Labour good, Andy for us, nice. You know, but we are facing so many crises. The IMF have turned around again and said we have to drastically reduce the amount of state spending. We're too big to bail out. And here is a man standing by behind a podium saying he wants to renationalise everything.
I know, God. I mean, where do we begin, Alex? I mean, he said as well that, you know, he wants to be like Neil Kinnock, or he takes Neil Kinnock as his inspiration. Of course, was the leader of the opposition during the Thatcher years. But at least Neil Kinnock can speak. I mean, Andy Burnham, if it's all about the vibes, he's not the most, you know, adequate vibesmith, is he? It's all a bit sort of cat-handed. He's not a very good public speaker. It all comes across as quite cringy. And you mentioned all of the public spending there. I mean, he has said he wants to go back to the 1970s. The IMF have already warned him against spending more money. He's talking about spending 18 billion on a national care service and saying he's going to expend political capital on that. What political capital, Andy? You haven't been working on any kind of mandate. You've just sort of slipped yourself in there. It's being referred to as a bloodless coup. He's talking about nationalising Thames Water as soon as he becomes Prime Minister, and that's going to cost 20 billion. I mean, the NHS is a massive black hole for money. It desperately needs reform. And he's talking about putting Angela Rayner in as the health secretary and having her oversee an expansion of a system that already doesn't work into a national care service. I mean, this is absolutely reckless. So when he talks about going back to the 1970s, and as I say, we've seen that IMF warning already, I think we are going to see a repeat of the 1970s under Andy Burnham. We'll see an IMF crisis, as we did in the 1970s. In the 1970s, we had the Troubles. We're already seeing rising sectarianism in the UK. And I think his plans for further devolution is only going to make that even worse. You don't need devolution in order to invest in the North. And you also don't need this divisive approach that he's taking of basically, you know, Robin Hood politics, stealing from the perceived rich and giving to the poor, stealing from people who are suffering also in the South in order to give to the North. I mean, everything about this is divisive. So all of his talks about unity are just simply superficial and, as I say, vibes, but not even the most effective communication of vibes.
No, I totally agree. And, you know, this mad sort of constant we need to devolve further. I'm like, we're an island of 70 million people. We're not the United States of America. We're equivalent to a sort of moderate-sized state in America where they have, like, you know, governor and a senator. And that's about it. Why do we need 20,000 elected officials? Because that's actually how many we have, right? We've got over 20,000 elected officials already in the UK. It's just mad. Let's just make everyone into a politician, shall we? Then we don't have to worry about growing the economy. Where are we going to pay them? But let's talk about the fact he said he wanted to expend a bit of capital, political capital, on a national social care service. Well, I recall the last time he spoke in such terms was when he was lambasted for proposing a death tax, right? Do you remember that? That, you know, you cark it and you have to suddenly, your family have to fork out £20,000 because you once lived and existed to then pay for people who are, you know, getting older in age and might also, you know, cost the National Care Service quite a lot of money. And that went down like a bucket of cold sick when he proposed it last time.
Yeah, everything. I mean, it's not actually just Andy Burnham. It's also the Keir Starmer's government as well. I mean, this is a party that is doing everything within its power to crush any kind of aspiration or genuine social mobility. One of the ways that people who are a bit more hard up manage to actually, have a bit of social mobility is that the family works hard, they manage to buy a property, they manage to pass that on to the next generation. I think it's also about undermining that first building block of society, the family, because everything is about the state. Nationalize everything, ban everything. And actually, while talking about putting power back into people's hands, you're actually taking it away from them. I mean, even if you just think about, the potential of nationalizing electricity. Do we really trust the Labour government to nationalise our electricity when they are absolute zealots for net zero? Even if it's the case that Andy Burnham isn't going to make Ed Miliband his next chancellor, he's still got the same Labour Party that Keir Starmer was dealing with. Do we trust the government with that? I mean, this is just removing more sovereignty from the people and putting more power in the hands of the state. And the wealth tax is just another example of that. It's persecuting families for aspiring and for trying to build something that lasts more than their lifetime alone and wanting to pass that on to their children. It's a normal, natural thing to do. And I know that it's become a cliche to say tax is theft, but the way in which this government is seeking to stealth tax and to find other innovative, creative ways to tax us, it's theft. I don't think the government has the right to that kind of money.
I can see you scribbling away there in the corner, Barnes.
Yes.
I'm going to sort of take Emma down a different story route in a minute, but before I do that, I want to know your thoughts.
I think you're perfectly right. This is an attack on the family, and I think it's a really profound point, actually, that the one way that there is social mobility among lower economically prosperous families is actually handing it over, building something for your kids, and then they build for their kids, and then they build. It's how families lift themselves up, and it is the direct attack on that, and it's that stupid idea that the government knows how to run your life better than you do. I do not understand how anybody can think somebody in Whitehall knows how to raise your kids for you or knows what's best for you. I mean, they can't even run their own government departments, let alone your life, that they have no idea about. I find that particular policy just a full frontal attack on what Emma's rightly calls one of the fundamental building blocks of civilization, and that is the family. The left have targeted families and breaking it up for at least, 30, 40 years, the breakdown of traditional families and just making it, morphing it and turning it into some kind of Frankenstein creature that anything can be a family. All the statistics shows that a strong family base is one of the greatest things you can have for a good start in life and to really support yourself moving forward. And the Labour Party, through these policies, are tearing it down because they don't like the idea that you can do better without their help. That's what it is. They don't like aspiration. They don't like people that want to move forward and take pride in something and build something. These are petty politicians that want to tear down, not statesmen that build.
No, I totally agree. Now, listen, on the subject of families, this is the other story I wanted to talk to you about, Emma, which is that Kieran Kaur, who is 53 years old, the mother of the killer of Henry Novak, so Vikram Digwar's mother, has been sentenced to 3 years in prison after removing the knife that her son used to kill the university student. She removed it from the crime scene. It probably means she's going to serve about 8 months, and that's it, and she'll be let back out. Now, there'll be some people who say, look, any mother would do that to protect their son. But what my big question here is, should this set some sort of precedent? Because without doubt, this woman needs to be sentenced. You cannot cover up your son's murder and get in the way of justice. She should have been on the phone to police saying, my son's done something terrible. But I think of all the other incidents. I think of the Southport murderer's family, right? And the amount of weapons he was accruing, the amount of times they knew he was buying dangerous things off the internet and they tried to sort of secrete them and didn't go forward to the police. I think of the parents of young 14, 15-year-olds who carry zombie knives. And this whole idea of parental culpability for children who commit crimes. I want your thoughts on this, Emma, because you're a sort of, very pragmatic, philosophical thinker. And when it comes to, parental responsibility for the crimes committed by children, where, this is a straight up and down black and white matter of the law, right? She hid the murder weapon, OK? You need to serve a prison sentence. But I think it opens up a broader debate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Alex, you and I are always on the same page, aren't we? I think we do need to have a serious national conversation about this, actually. And obviously, you can't hold someone responsible for actions that are not theirs. In a sense, you can't visit the sins of the child on the parents. But there is a degree of responsibility there. You mentioned Ruda Cabana. He had all of this stuff arriving at the house. And I think sometimes, we are maybe too light, actually, when it comes to blaming those who surround an individual and you can understand why they, might not want to say something because, it's their child. They want to protect their child. That's a normal instinct. But if you think that your child is going to go on and do something horrific, you have a duty to step in. And I think that needs to be made very clear. And the person who comes to mind for me is Salah Abdeslam, who was one of the guys who was involved in the ISIS attacks in Europe. And he managed to hide out in Molenbeek for I can't even remember how long. I think it might have been, over a year. And it was because people were aiding him. The community were helping him to hide. But I mean, the other aspect of this that I think is actually, more at the forefront of people's minds is that this woman should be deported, no questions asked. And of course, there will be lawyers who say that she mustn't be because of her right to a family life and so on. No, she's an Indian national. She should be deported. And I think that the sentence that she has been given, I mean, the fact that she, would only serve potentially 8 months. I mean, Lucy Connolly, as Robert Jemrick has pointed out, Lucy Connolly served 10 months. She was sentenced to 2.5 years, I think it was. And, she just tweeted something and then deleted it later and was remorseful. This is somebody who was aided a murderer and whose actions, had an impact on the final moments of Henry Novak. And the government are talking now about scrapping these home detention curfews, which would reduce people's time in prison from 40% down to 30%. I mean, there is no deterrent here whatsoever. I think we need to be really, really coming down hard on law and order. And if you'll allow me, Alex, I just want to mention as well the comments that the judge made, I find really quite bizarre. This is a quote. He said, about Digwa's mother, he said, "You are embedded in your Sikh community but speak little English. You have a number of significant health problems. Your actions were mistakenly to protect your son rather than for any personal gain, and you are very unlikely to reoffend." I'm not sure why being embedded in a particular community and not speaking very much English and having health problems, I mean, it didn't stop her from offending in the first place. I just find the comments bizarre.
Oh, I'd love that if I decided to go out and, hide a murder weapon. So, well, you're very embedded within your rural community. You're a local down your village pub. Therefore, we better not put you in prison too long. I mean, Peter, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Can I just say, on the issue of the Southport one, it is in the review of the incident that the father played a role in kind of not bringing Axel Ruda Cabana forward, that they were, it's actually documented proof of this. And the opposite kind of inverse to this is I used the case of Tyler Robinson, who is the guy who's accused of shooting Charlie Kirk. The father went to the police and said, "This is my son." The father did the right thing, because I would remind people Henry Nowak was somebody's son as well. And that he was left to die in a horrific way, and the mother chose her son and didn't do the right thing. I'm sorry, I'm now starting to very firmly stand on the opinion that, she needs to be deported, but also, if you're letting your kids run around doing this stuff, prison.
Right, I agree. Emma, thank you ever so much, my darling. It's always an honour and a pleasure having you on the programme. We're going to be taking a short break, and then after that is your opportunity to get in touch and talk to us about everything that we've been talking about, or whatever else. We've got a lot of messages to get through as well. So we'll try and, skip through your written content. If you want to add to it, it's 03444 991 on WhatsApp, 8722 on text. Write the word talk before your message. If you're going to send a text, you can also use 03444 991 to give us a call. We can take down your number and give you a call back. It's your normal network rate. Housekeeping done. Put the kettle on. We're back just after this.
Some breaking news. 8 men have been charged with rape and child sex offences as part of a grooming gang operation in South Wales. Been charged with more than 30 offences. According to the CPS, the charges relate to 8 victims who were children.
Well, let me start by giving comment on Alison Hernandez, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Devon and Cornwall. She's a stupid, idiotic sycophant.
Anne Widdecombe was murdered, the most high-profile murder in Britain for many, many decades. She was murdered because she supported the reform agenda.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I feel like I have to do that thing that like boxers do, like this earpiece. I feel like Nelly the elephant. Like.
No, I think you look like one of those like in the Four Tops where they used to dance in the rhythm like that. That's what I feel like you like.
Love the Four Tops.
Yeah.
Great reference.
Yeah, thank you.
Fun fact: one of my favourite films of all time is Little Shop of Horrors.
Is it really?
So good.
It is good.
And it was the guy from the Four Tops who played the plant.
Yes. Yeah.
Levi Stubbs.
Yeah,
I'm sure that was Four Tops, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Audrey too.
Yeah.
Such a good film.
Such a good film.
Such a good film. I love Joy. I just like Joy. I don't, there's too much neg.
Yeah.
So much
that's
neg
true.
on toast going on in society.
Neg on
So when it
toast.
comes to watching films and listening to music, you only find me going to the very happiest parts.
Yeah.
I need it.
I really hate how everything's so serious now.
No.
Just give me some farce every now and then.
Do you want some fit farce?
Yes,
Is that are you a beg for no neg?
Beg for no neg.
Okay.
Go on.
Let's see what we've put together, eh? Because our amazing little team of video editors have put together a sequence of Starmer's best moments.
Oh my
I have a
God.
feeling this will put a smile on your
Yes,
face.
it will. I hope
All right,
so.
let's have a look.
Hello. How are you? Nice to see you. Very good to see you.
Lovely to meet you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. Oh, it's not on the same
6'7". Yeah. 6'7". Everyone here. 6'7". Are you doing page 6'7"?
We're not over that yet. We're not over that. Still very much a thing.
In the last 2 years, I've been negotiating serious trade deals which were vital for our most important sectors of the economy. They're trade deals with the EU, but also with India, North Korea, and the United States. And I remind him of the value of those deals. I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages. Could you please join me when I say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay! It worked. Nervous moment there, but it's all good.
Oh my goodness! What was it?
my God.
What was it? My favourite has to be the open. If you were listening on the radio, I'm sorry because it's very visual. The first one, it was just Starmer walking into it. Well, walking into it wasn't what happened.
I don't know how he just decided just to fall over air. He tripped up over air. There was nothing in front. It's just oh.
There
But I
he
mean-
goes. Oh, no, wait,
there we go.
There he goes.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I mean, like, he just kind of just fell, like, straight down. No, it's very bizarre. But the sausages one. I will say, though, on that clip where he goes on about doing trade deals with North Korea, he does actually go back and says, well, if that ever happened, I'd report myself to the Standards Committee. Which, if you are a political nerd, that's a funny joke. For everybody else, it's not that funny. But for a nerd, it was quite funny.
Ain't a funny joke for Nigel Farage right now.
No, it's not, no.
But, do you know, also, I think if you want to know why we haven't got Starmer anymore and instead we've got Andy Burnham, I think it is completely encapsulated in the Christmas lights turn on.
Yes.
Because at the moment, the Prime Minister is supposed to be giving that sort of, you know, Christmas spirit, the joy of which I spake earlier, to the nation. What was it?
I don't. Oh, it's
5.
He said, yeah. He sounded like he was doing the opening to the Thunderbirds. Do you know? Yeah.
And then there's this sort of strange pregnant pause where he remembers he's got to actually turn on the lights,
yeah.
and then it's like, hooray! That's why. That is why we have Andy Burnham,
I love
ladies and
how he
gentlemen.
goes, "There was a tense
Nothing else
moment."
has changed.
Yeah.
It's just somebody who can, I don't know, represent human emotion.
What a low bar.
What a low bar.
What a really low
Hey,
bar.
I hadn't spoken to this guy in ages, and he's one of my faves.
Oh.
Tarquin in London.
Tarquin?
It's the old Tarquin!
Oh.
Tarquin's back in circulation. Hey, Tarquin, how you doing?
Dearly unloved, we are gathered here today in the sight of yet another Fabian stooge brought to our midst in order to destroy Britain and to ensure that the globalist alliance succeeds in destroying all Western civilization forever and ever with their satanic cult. I could go on, Alex. I love you, and you too, Peter.
Anne, is that you?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, sorry, I just had to say, you were channeling wonderful wittyism there.
Because it was the
with the rolling of the Brexit.
Yeah.
But do you know what? You make an important point, though, which is this Fabian Society thing, because I was talking about the fact that it seems Andy Burnham is battling the ghost of Margaret Thatcher. But he is, and you're right in this, because when you look at what Blair did and what Burnham's trying to do, it's picking up the baton that of the Fabian Society of wanting to basically zone us into communist little entities. Easier to control, otherwise known as Maldivolution. It is the idea of digital ID. It is the idea of global socialism drawing ever closer to the EU. It is a project that they've been trying to conduct for the best part of 100 years, and they never give up. And, of course, one of their favourite theses writers was Mr. Burnham.
That's right. I think it's continuity Blair, or you could insert for Blair, that could be anything from, you know, the Trilateral Commission, the whole kit and caboodle of things that are supranational and have zero democratic content whatsoever, and then we're being reduced down to sort of animalistic sort of farming. It's just ghastly, Alex, and I never thought I'd see it in. I mean, as a youngster, I remember reading Animal Farm in 1984 and Brave New World, and thinking about those. Oh my God, it could never get that bad. We are England.
We're there.
We are Britain.
Tarquin, we're there. He knew so much. I've got to say goodbye to you, my darling Tarquin, because we've got to go to an advert break. But it's always wonderful hearing from you. Don't be a stranger. Put the kettle on. Steve Gill gives us a view after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to the show, the final hour. I'm loving this show for some reason.
Same.
Do you know what I think it is? You know, it's a bit like when I make it to church on a Sunday, which I must admit, and it's of great distress to me because I work on Sundays and then I need to get back from whence I came. I rarely actually make it into a church building. I always watch it online. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Church online.
Yeah, church online is not really the same as being with your brethren.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I'm so buzzy today, because normally when I go to actual church, it's like vitamin G, right? That's what I call it. You know when you play a computer game from the 90s, because we're back in the 90s, as we know. You know, and you've got like the sort of life bar and the, like, I don't know, time and heart and I don't know what else. And you're going along and, you know, you can see your, you know, supplies depleting in the various metrics and scales in the legend on top of the screen. I feel like a bit like when I go to church, it sort of increases my vitamin G bar, the joy in my heart and in my life, my compassion, my positivity, my faith, my optimism goes up to the top, and then during the course of the week it gets depleted. But I feel like that's why I'm happy today, because I went to CPAC. And CPAC is, you know, yes, we discussed some of the big issues facing the West, the collective West, because there were people there from Europe, from, when I was going to say Europe and Italy, like Italy isn't in Europe, Poland, from Italy, from all over Europe, actually. From Australia, Pauline Hanson. Loved a bit of that.
I have
from
to
the
admit,
US.
I know what you mean. It's one of those... I'm not the only one that's seeing this. I kind of feel that you're part of something.
What Andy Burnham's trying to do on the left, which Blair successfully did in the 90s, is tap into positivity and optimism, and things can only get better, to coin, you know, the Blairite theme tune. But CPAC is a lot like that. There's a lot of, we've got to have serious conversations about Islamification. We've got to have serious conversations about mass migration, about the state of our economies, about the creep of extreme leftism. But also, we can do this. We've still got everything we ever had. We are still the nation that abolished slavery, that exported democracy, that, you know, is behind the vast majority of inventions and innovations that have changed the entire world for good. We are still this incredible little island with a heritage that I don't think any other landmass on Earth can boast. And we still have that supply of intelligence, of patriotism, of spirit, of all the things that once made us Great Britain. We are still teeming with all of those capabilities. It's a bit like when Boris Johnson talked about unleashing all of our, you know, held back potential. And there's something about going to something like CPAC that gives you that spring in your step, however dire it gets, that you can still do this.
I always like I always get the feeling that, like, global Britain is actually not just a slogan. It could actually be a thing.
I like that.
Actually bring back and do global Britain.
The Empire Strikes Back.
Part 2. The revenge.
Let's see what the Americans think about that, whether they think we're in any fit state to be sort of, you know, switching things up a bit after 250 years of independence. Perhaps they want to be run by a load of people who, well, frankly, have not got their together. Let's speak to our favourite. He's here every Saturday. Let's get ourselves teed up, ready for excellence. Here we go. Shame he couldn't have been at CPAC. I'd have loved to have shared a few bottles of warm and rather distasteful white wine with him. It is the marvellous Steve Gill, former White House official. Steve, great to have you here. Now, first of all, I want to ask you about something which I think America has seen exactly what has happened in Britain. The other day, I was on the Megyn Kelly show, which was great. I mean, one of these huge, prolific content creators, an icon of American media, because she had learnt about the brutal murder of Anne Widdecombe. And, you know, we all knew, quite frankly, by the time it came to Saturday, we knew it had been a murder, however we were being gaslit. And, of course, we knew that it was politically motivated. And, look, a man's been arrested. He is currently being interrogated under terrorism legislation. We know who he is. His identity has been revealed to the public. There are other things we are learning about him, such as membership of a particular political party. But there's not much we can talk about that case because we wouldn't want to scupper any future trial. But what is interesting is, thank goodness in America, you've picked up the baton and you are talking about something which we desperately need to talk about in this country across the entire West. Let's have a listen to what I thought was one of... I mean, I love Marco Rubio. I love him. Let us have a listen to what I think was, you know, up there with some of his greatest speeches.
For far too long, however, our counterterrorism doctrine has had a blind spot when it comes to extremist violence from the political left. Even today, the very idea that far-left terrorism could be a serious threat is treated as a right-wing fever dream, or worse, as a dangerous fascist conspiracy. It's treated this way by many in the press, by many in academia and our universities, and by many of our legacy institutions.
Let's talk about this, Steve, because I am still reeling from the death of my friend and colleague Anne, and the sense that it's made us all feel rather insecure and threatened. But this is something that, of course, you have seen a lot of in America. Thomas Crooks and the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. Indeed, Tyler Johnson, who is the suspected shooter of Charlie Kirk. And what it seems to point towards is exactly what Marco Rubio is saying. It's what Zia Youssef from Reform UK would call stochastic terrorism. This idea that actually the state has created an environment, and in the case of the United States, we're talking about the Biden administration, that people on the right wing are dangerous, that they are an existential threat. And you will have some pretty deranged, largely young men who are ostracised from society, who have a great sense of inadequacy, no doubt mental health issues, because ordinary people do not set off from their house with a murder weapon with the intent of massacring someone. But also, the idea that perhaps these people are taking SRIs, antidepressants, on gender-bending drugs, that, we are now living in countries where the left wing, and even in this country, I would say coming out of the mouths of the Prime Minister and state-sanctioned, can easily be encouraged into becoming lone wolf terrorists.
Well, and again, it is targeting people on the right who, simply they disagree with. And it's being, not just fodder, but they're putting fuel on the fire for this, you point out, the mentally deranged, those who are being drugged up, whether it's, as part of their transition to transgender. And we've seen it not just play out in the actions that have led to the death of leaders on the right, but the threat of that kind of violence. Had a member of the U.S. Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett, this week testifying how scared she is. And we've seen that it has affected her rulings on the U.S. Supreme Court very clearly, that she has moved away from her conservative base, what she promised when she got confirmed to the U.S. Supreme Court, because she is fearful for her life and her children's lives. So it's not just having an impact on the people they kill, it's having an impact on those who are supposed to be our leaders in the U.S. and globally, because they know they are targets.
Well, one thing I argue, Steve, and this is a point I made to Megyn Kelly, is we're talking about this threat against people on the right wing in politics, in media, commentators like me, people, as you're saying, in the Supreme Court in America. My argument is it affects every single man and woman in the UK. A teacher at school who could never confess that they might have voted Brexit because then they'd be ostracised in the staff room, denied a promotion. A university lecturer who could find themselves cancelled on campus because they expressed a view about somebody's biological sexual reality. It could be a small business who can't suggest that they vote a certain way or back a political party because there would be a huge campaign to boycott. People that worry about being debanked. Foster parents in the United Kingdom had children removed because it was exposed that they were part of, they were members of a political party. This threat, this sort of tyranny from the left affects all of us. Is it the same in America, that people on the right wing, ordinary men and women, feel that they have to hide their political affiliations, that they're not allowed to say the things that they think or feel because it could well lose them their livelihoods, their professions, make them ostracised within their communities?
Absolutely. And by the way, this is government-imposed tyranny as well. Think about the fact that we've just watched the World Cup, where English fan supporters have been waving proudly the St. George's flag that would be prosecuted in England. So they're going into these massive crowds and flying a flag to get them prosecuted. If you guys refer to me as a Yank, my understanding is that now that's a criminal offense. That somehow I should be insulted if you refer to me as a Yank. So the government is embracing some of this stuff that makes it even worse. Here in the U.S., we see, people that are afraid to speak out, and we saw it even more when Donald Trump first ran. I remember many times, you talk to somebody about politics when he was running, and people would literally almost say, "I'm voting for Donald Trump." They would quietly whisper it because there was a threat of backlash. And then after the first Trump administration, those who had served in his administration were being blocked from jobs. You know, you see people leave the Obama administration, the Biden administration. They get cushy university jobs. They get, you know, hired by these big corporations. They were being blocked if you had a Trump association after the first term, and there are threats to do it again, you know, to lawyers, to those who serve in the administration. So it is that threat looming over everybody who even goes to work in the Trump administration. What happens after the administration ends?
No, it's true. And it's just the two-tier system. You have it as well, apparently. Talking about the
One of the great things I will say about what you do and what talkTV does, Rush Limbaugh, when he started being the voice of conservatism here in the U.S., people would gather at lunch spots. They called them Rush Rooms. And people would gather and listen together. And the biggest impact Rush Limbaugh had, not just on the air, was other people realizing, hey, there are other people who think like I do. And you guys have the same effect as well, when people go, yeah, do you watch talkTV? Do you listen to Alex? Hey, there are thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who think just like me. We are out there.
Exactly. We are all together, and actually we are the majority. Never forget it. Now, talking about this idea, the hypocrisy that is the rich theme through all of this leftist tyranny, this particular topic. First of all, let's have a little listen to Donald Trump, because he has accused China of election interference.
Over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files.
I mean, this is an incredibly serious allegation in a huge speech, backed up with the receipts, flanked by his appointments in security and intelligence. And yet, how has the legacy media in America responded? Well, they've basically been saying, oh, he's just talking about electoral interference before the midterm so he can make people not trust in democracy and not go out and vote. These are the same journalists who said things like, oh, the only reason Brexit happened was because of the Russians. Oh, well, Donald Trump probably shouldn't be president. The Russians must have done it. Who actually try and actively deny and interfere with democracy, have the audacity, have the levels of hypocrisy that they will turn around when Trump is saying, look at the receipts, China has been messing about. And actually in that report, it talks about interference in other elections, which could have affected his own presidency. But he's talking quite sensibly about things that pose a very serious threat to the voting process in America. And they only like talking about foreign interference, don't they, when they're accusing the right wing of somehow getting into power because some sort of, you know, dastardly hostile power must have done it. People would never have voted that way otherwise.
Well, and as you point out, he didn't just make the allegations. He didn't just lay out the case. He brought the receipts. Some of these receipts include internal emails from our intelligence services, from those who were at the highest levels of the FBI, who were tweaking and contorting the president's daily briefing to keep him from knowing what was going on, who were using their powers in the intelligence agencies and others that, you know, a race that was lost by 20,000 votes, got the evidence. And the legacy media didn't cover his speech because they don't want the American people to know the truth. The legacy media, the left-wing woke media, is not covering this story because they know it's the truth and they don't want the American people to know the truth.
Oh, the wokeatrons over here have covered it, and they're basically accusing Donald Trump of doing the election interference by pointing out that there's election interference ahead of the midterms. I mean, come on. Of course that's their spin. And also, look, can I just say, we've got another problem over here with our so-called legacy media, which is that there is this growing chorus of anti-Atlanticism, of confected offence against anything coming out of America, largely because it is sort of, you know, Trump derangement syndrome. But this idea that, you know, Europe and, you know, the UK have to be suspicious of America, that America's not a natural ally, that America does horrible things. America's blimmin' amazing. I love it. Can you come and kidnap me and take me to Nashville, where I'm sure I'd be far happier married to a cowboy? But here's another example of this sort of confected offence at something American, which is after our game against Argentina on Wednesday night, the Argentinian football team unfurled a banner asserting that the country owns the Falkland Islands, Las Malvinas. Now, we know that those islands were uninhabited, right, when we discovered them, and then Brits inhabited them. So actually, they are, in many respects, the native population. There are no other people who are indigenous to it or could make a claim. Those people have been there for a long time. And when asked democratically what they want want to do, they say, well, we're British, thanks. That's how it's going to stay. Any other country, any other islands, and that would just be like, how dare Argentina try and assert that they own them, you know, without any sort of basis. But because the the Argentinian footballers unfurled a banner saying the Malvinas are Argentinian, oh, over here, that's all America's fault. How dare America allow that to happen? And quite rightly so, Andrew Giuliani, the executive director of the White House Task Force on the World Cup, said, we believe in our First Amendment rights here in the United States of America. I mean, for crying out loud. Fine. We've had all the pro-Pally marches here in Britain. No one did anything to stop them, did they? But when it comes to some Argentinian footballers bringing up the Falklands, it's like, oh, how dare America allow them to do that?
Yeah, I think the main population on the Falklands are sheep. If the Argentines are serious, then take Messi off the pitch, install him as prime minister of the Falklands, give him an office and take him out of the soccer world and let him go run the Falklands for a while, and we'll see how serious they are.
No, I mean, look, it is one of these. But can I ask you, Steve, as a former White House official, right? Because with this government that we got here, it's only a matter of time before they're going to be giving the Falklands Islands away anyway. You know, they're still trying to give over Diego Garcia to the Maldives, a.k.a. China. So keep your eye on that one, Steve, since Burnham's come back and he said, nope, we're going to get back on that plan.
Not just give it away. They want to pay to give it away.
Well, exactly. That one rumbles on. We thought we'd put paid to it, but absolutely not. That is being resurrected like Lazarus now. We've got a new Prime Minister. But also, you know, a lot of things, something that just wasn't reported in the news in the UK, because what does it matter? We've basically given Gibraltar to the Spanish, as it happens. Don't know if you knew that. A critical little landmass that we've had for ages, which is geopolitically quite significant, given its location. Well, Spain can just run that from now on. Of course, no one reported it here in Britain. But if it did come to pass that colonial guilt drove Andy Burnham to pick up the phone to Milei, you wouldn't imagine a natural ally, but there you go, and say, well, look, you know, you lend me your chainsaw and I'll give you the Falkland Islands. Would America intervene? Or if Milei decided to turn around and say, well, they look like a soft touch, that Labour government, we're going to actually make a political push for the Falkland Islands, would Donald Trump have the wherewithal? Because he might not like the cut of Burnham's jib. He rather likes Javier Milei, and I just wonder where America might come down if it ended up being a heave-ho over the Falkland Islands.
You still have Greenland hanging out there, and Trump every now and then talking about buying Greenland or taking Greenland. So you're seeing kind of these geopolitical moves. There was a great book, and it became a movie decades ago, called The Mouse That Roared. You had a little country decide to declare war on the United States in the hope that they would quickly get defeated, but then get billions and billions of dollars in rebuild sort of donations from the American taxpayers. So maybe that's what some of these countries are thinking. They're thinking, look, if we could just have the Falklands or somebody else declare war on the U.S. And Britain and the rest of the global wealthy elites, they would pay us to, you know, after they defeat us in war in about 2 days.
I mean, this is the thing. I could imagine if anything were to sort of come up over the Falkland Islands, Milei's looking at it going, well, that's surrounded by oil fields, isn't it? We don't mind a bit of drill, baby, drill over here. And also Trump might think, well, this is critical protection against countries such as China taking control of critical maritime routes.
War, wasn't it? When the Falklands War, didn't the British send their warships on the slowest attack in the history of war, where it's like, yeah, we're coming to fight you. And I think it took weeks for the battleships and the war to get there, and by that time everybody had worked it out.
We still won it, though. We still won it.
It's ours, by gosh.
But I'm sorry, but it is. Yeah. It is. You can't turn around, because those people are self-determined. No one else has lived on the island before they lived there. Yeah. It is their island. They're Falklanders. They are the inhabitants and have been since it has been inhabited. That's it. Job done. Discussion over. Ask them. And when they're asked, they all say, I'm sorry, we're British. So there you go, case closed, in my opinion.
As long as they speak with a British accent and eat British food, it is decidedly British.
I'm not sure what they eat in the Falklands. Penguins, probably.
Sheep.
Puffins, penguins and sheep. Who knows? I'd rather like to go. I wonder what it's like.
I've always wanted to go to the Falklands, actually.
Well, let's see what strings we can pull. Now, finally...
Come to Nashville first.
Don't you worry. No, the long-term plan is just to move to Nashville as a refugee. quickly as things get a bit hot under the collar over here. Now, finally, I just want to finish before I let you go, Steve, on CPAC, because this, of course, is an American invention. The whole idea of getting a big jamboree of people on the right wing to all come together, celebrate together, be amongst one another, but also discuss major issues. And yesterday was the headline act of Nigel Farage. He was the keynote speaker. Today, CPAC welcomes Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, Freedom Campaigner, the man who stood up against the might of the sort of, you know, World Health Organization during COVID. But let's have a little listen to a clip of Nigel Farage yesterday giving the headline address.
I'd like to say welcome to Great Britain, but I have to really say welcome to Broken Britain, because we are in something of a mess. In fact, I'd go further and say we're actually engaged in a battle for the very soul of our nation, to define what we actually are, what we stand for, what our values are, because they're under attack in just the most astonishing and extraordinary.
Now, what is interesting, actually, is the sort of subtitle of CPAC was Save Britain, Save the West. And it was incredible hearing from the Anglosphere across Europe as well, Conservative voices, that the problems that are affecting Britain, that we, I think, have now become the poster child for, are problems that affect Australia and are problems that Donald Trump is trying to fight head-on in America. Tell us why CPAC is so important and what you think about us having our inaugural CPAC here in the UK.
I think it's fabulous. I have attended CPAC here in the U.S. in the past, not the last couple of years, but, you know, one of the great things about CPAC is it does give a focus on policy, and not just short-term, you know, what's happening today, but sort of a longer-term conservative policy agenda. And look, you guys, we're all nerds. We like this policy stuff. I mean, I'll read a briefing book for fun, and that's, you know, this is kind of like, you know, a fraternity party for nerds is what it was in the U.S., and I expect that's the same thing at CPAC in England. So it is a chance to talk about the issues, and then when you compare them to what we're getting from the far left here and around the globe, this socialist, communist agenda that is playing out in New York with Mamdani, in the Congress where the far left extremists are winning for the Democrats in these dark blue communities. And the question is, will it spread? That's where you're seeing the pushback policy-wise here, and that's why we're watching England and saying, look, you guys are further down the path in the wrong direction than we are. You've got to start pushing back, not just with slogans, not with just rhetoric or campaigns. You have to win the policy battles. That's why CPAC's so amazing.
Oh, Steve, mate, can I tell you one thing? You know, when you guys over in America in the last century tried to stop the spread of communism and thought you could be successful over in Vietnam, and you weren't, turns out this little island, which has become a communist country, doesn't really have any capability of defending itself. So, you know, if you want to come help, it might be a successful mission. Steve, I do say tongue-in-cheek, no doubt some sort of sad person was going to message Ofcom saying that I'm inciting war, but there you go. Get a life if that's you. Steve, thank you ever so much. Always a privilege and an honour, and I can't wait to become a Nashvilleite.
Yes, same.
Yeah,
very much
are we
the same.
both going?
100%. Can I just say, it is very much a conference for nerds, but it's vision politics, but the important bit is it's how we get to it.
It's how we get to it.
He's so right about that, actually. A lot of these kind of big things are kind of just big slogans and all the rest of it. CPAC is always about how do you achieve the vision that you want to get to. And I think that's so important that the right has forgotten that bit. It's all about how do you actually make the thing happen.
The right needs to be proactive and stop just engaging in vanity internecine warfare. For crying out loud, we don't have the time for this. Yep. Right, we do have the time for an advert break, otherwise I don't get paid. That's capitalism, ladies and gentlemen, so tolerate these commercials and we're back on the other side.
Some breaking news. 8 men have been charged with rape and child sex offences as part of a grooming gang operation in South Wales. Been charged with more than 30 offences. According to the CPS, the charges relate to 8 victims who were children.
Well, let me start by giving comment on Alison Hernandez, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Devon and Cornwall. She's a stupid, idiotic sycophant.
Anne Widdecombe was murdered, the most high-profile murder in Britain for many, many decades. She was murdered because she supported the reform agenda.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh dear, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, advert breaks are a dangerous
And
place
very dangerous,
to be.
dangerous.
Do you know what? We're going to need some sort of, faith has to come in
Yeah.
during advert breaks and prevent us talking to one another. And also, can I just say, all trust in Prince at the moment.
Yes, all trust.
Our tech op, because if he
Yeah, yeah.
decided to just whack the faders up early and like come out of that advert break early.
There you go.
Quite, yeah. There'd be a lot of news
Yeah.
that isn't in the papers. Can
Yeah.
I just say?
The dump button has never been pressed quicker.
I'm like, oh my gosh, why are there thousands of
Oh,
me?
yeah.
Wow, this is like I'm in an 80s music video. I'm like
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody. What happened there?
I know. Periscope.
Periscope, what was that? I like that. Can you do that again? That really felt
It's got a
Duran
name,
Duran.
that, hasn't it?
Does it?
It does, because it's a mirror effect. Yeah, yeah. It has a
I
particular
don't
name.
know what weird buttons Periscope was pressing then, but I quite liked it. I
You fell
really
asleep,
did
that was
feel
what it
like it
was.
was sort of like, multiple me's singing in harmony. Oh, imagine if that happened. That would be terrorism.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a multitude of Alexes all saying the same thing. Oh, gosh. Right, let's do
Moving on.
voice notes. We've got voice notes. We love a voice note. OK, this is Helen.
Morning, Alex and Peter. It's Helen in Knutsford. Alex and Peter on a Saturday on Talk. It's me. Yeah. Oh God. What? I literally I was drinking a coffee, and when I just heard that speech about all of the things that Starmer reckons he's done, I was like, what? What? I mean, I needn't even go into it. It's just ridiculous. And yes, Peter, the sausages brilliant was classic. Brilliant. I mean, not brilliant, rubbish, but oh God, anyway, he's gone. But now, yes, well, we'll see.
We will see indeed.
We will
By
see.
the way, Prince, I know this is your first time tech-opping, and we've commended you on your very clear enunciations of timings and advert breaks, your use of the microphone, and it's very good. Like, it's NASA level, Cape Canaveral level excellence.
Yes.
Like, I've never had such clear... Mind you, maybe it's Dolan's earpiece.
It could be, yeah.
I'm like, he's going to let me keep this, so
Yeah.
thanks, Mark. We love you. But we just need to warn you, Prince, if you're tech-hopping again next weekend, that we normally do this thing where we have a quiz, we have this weird musical bed we play, but more than it, you do now.
Yeah.
Have you done it before?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Oh, has he?
Do you not pay attention? Awkward.
Of course I don't.
Awkward.
I've got the memory of a goldfish
That's
for
true.
crying out loud.
I think it's
but
insulted to
I love the jingles. I mean, next week, let's get the
I love
jingles
how we were
back.
both like,
It's on a Saturday on Talk.
I love
it. Because we couldn't decide if she fell over or if it was an 80s.
Or
Don't remember.
if that vodka from last night was making a reappearance.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
right. Okay. I mean, I feel like it's unfair to play the voice notes now because, that was so high energy.
Yeah.
But let's give it a go. Let's listen to James.
Alex, Andy Burnham thinks that the 70s was a most wonderful decade. Interestingly, he was only born in 1970, so I'm not quite sure how he can really remember the experience that he had. Probably heard it in a load of fairy tales from hard lefties. Anyway, bit weird. Bye.
Good. That actually kept momentum. I like a voice note ending in bit weird.
Bit weird.
Bye. That's good. That's the kind of way that I end at the moment, I've got this blight, right? And I don't know why it is, but I think there are multiple microphones on a camera. And I'm a sucker for leaving a voice note because I'm always running around doing something. During advert breaks, my little thumbs don't go fast enough to reply to the things. And over the course of 3 hours, my gosh, I get inundated. And so I tend to leave little voice notes to people. And lately, the microphone that's connected to the voice notes isn't working. It just flatlines. And so I'm having to leave people weird videos all the time. now. So, like some sort of 14-year-old on Snapchat.
Actually, to be fair, because
I
you
left
said
you one
this
this
morning.
morning.
I was
said,
this
you're
morning
like-
because I got a video. I was
We
like,
walk into the tube
Yeah,
going
but
like,
it was
what
like,
do you want?
what
What's your
is
breakfast
this?
order? What are we going to talk about on the programme? I'm going to order something from Leon. Do you want the big breakfast box or the box of the salmon smorgasbord? Love you, bye.
Yeah, literally.
Everyone must think I'm a nutter because they keep getting these videos to me. I'm like, I don't have the time to type.
Yes.
And the microphone's not working. So that is now the way I communicate.
Yeah.
This
See,
little-
I'm one of those people that I do the voice to text thing.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not allowed to do that now. It's
Oh,
not
right.
that might,
So
that's not
my
working.
problem is with being northern, it doesn't recognise the accent every now and then. So it comes out as garbled nonsense.
God, if I've had a few ciders, I just go, oh,
yeah. It just comes up farmer. That's Gloucester.
That's Gloucester. Oh no, it's like that scene in Hot Fuzz where you've got the sort of farmer with all of his weapons, and then the policeman who's translating the farmer, and then the policeman who's translating the policeman to the London cop Simon Pegg, who is from Gloucester. The West Country Burr. Long may it live. I mean, I love it. I love it. I mean, I don't understand what it's just noise, but I do love it. Right, finally, let's listen to George.
Morning, Alex. George from Leicester. In that statement that Andy Pandy said a little while ago in the country taking many U-turns over the years, isn't it ironic that he fails to mention the U-turns that his own party took in the last 2 years of Starmer? Funny that. Have a good show.
Funny that. Weird. Bye. This is the way we should all end our messages. By the way, can I just say, Andy Pandy, that's a keeper.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Andy
100%.
Pandy,
Andy
definitely.
Pandy, how has that not actually been a thing already?
Why have I only just heard this now?
Yeah.
That is so obvious. That is like back of the net excellence.
Because also it's going back in time, so he'll be delighted by it.
Yeah, children's stories, silliness.
Lollipop politics.
What does Andy Pandy look like?
Why do I have a vision of somebody in pyjamas? But then I keep thinking bananas in pyjamas.
Stripy pyjamas, Faith says. Yeah, I don't know,
stripy, blue and white stripy pyjamas. Yeah, thought so.
That's a little bit echoes of Yeah.
Yeah, moving on.
Anyway, right, on that charming note, let's do a couple of messages and then we're going to whiz to Advert Break because we're going to be joined on the other side by Mr. Ben Habib. Right, morning, Alex. I've been to the Falklands, very interesting place. Beautiful albatross. There we go. Important. Did you hear that? Beautiful birds, lots of sheep, very few people, mostly isolated island farms, no roads. You need a boat to visit your neighbours. Amazing capital town is the only settlement. Beautiful place, says Josie in Cape Town. I do love a good albatross. You can't beat an albatross, really, apart from the one around your neck. Everyone has forgotten Starmer's blundering mistake, thinking Trump was going to hand him the stage. He looked such a plum. No, we didn't forget, Wayne. We loved that one when it came to Starmer's cringeworthy moments.
I mean, we've only got 3 hours. There's only so many, like, the number of jokey moments and embarrassing moments that guy has had as Prime Minister in a very short amount of time is very impressive in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit.
Never forget the breakfast clubs.
Breakfast clubs.
Alex, I'd like to point out that Greater Manchester only makes up 3.5% of the North. The Prime Minister of Makerfield doesn't speak for everyone up there, says Tony in Marchwood. This Manchesterism is just... It's just inventing a word for something that doesn't exist. Because they're like, what even is it? Well, why name it then? You know, it's just, this is what they do all the time. They invent a sort of mysterious, invented, confected far-right. Because, you know, Lord above, we're not allowed to talk about infinity migration. And now they've invented Manchesterism as the cure for all of our social ills. But what is it? Oh, let's look for the clues. It doesn't exist. Alex, regarding Burnham's cabinet, Louise Haigh, is he really going to put a convicted fraudster in the cabinet, a minister with a criminal conviction? What does that say about the country? Well, everything, really. I get the saying time served, but this is a government position. I know, but this is it. We never ever got to actually really talk about Herma and all of his clients and even what the Prime Minister himself did back when he was a barrister. Are you tapping my ear because you're working with them?
No, it's you've got the button still on so I can hear everything you're saying.
Oh, you've got open talk back.
Yeah, I can still
no, I heard them say, come on, let's go to an advert break. I was just ignoring them and then I thought you were ganging up on me. No.
No, I just heard Faith say, why is Pete looking at me? Because I was like, I can still hear what you're saying.
When you're this side of the glass, we are a team. It's us versus them.
Yeah,
we will take our break, Faith.
Yeah.
We'll do it now.
Yeah.
See you on the other side.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and welcome back. Right. Should we just get straight on and
Yes,
hang out with Habib?
Yes.
Let's hang with Habib, babies.
Yeah, hang with
because
Habib.
Ben joins us now. Hello.
Well,
from
how
your-
is that not a podcast
Look from his communist bunker.
Why do you say it's communist? It's not
Because you
communist.
look like you're. I don't
bright
know.
red.
Bright red. You've got a bright red tie.
It's a nightclub red. It's not a communist red. They don't have any.
I don't know. You know what they say with red lights above doors. They're not nightclubs, Ben.
It's like, it reminds me of the Groucho Club or somewhere like that.
I don't know. I'm kind of worried that there's sort of like this sort of shiny, stain-proofed paint on his walls.
It's quite cool. It's enamelled. You know, it's not the sort of dull normal thing. It's gloss, and it reflects. I just thought, what the hell? You know, you only live once. Have a sitting room that looks a bit like a nightclub.
Also, can I just say that what have you got in that booze tray behind you, boy? What have we got going on there? We got it looks like
it's just
tequila.
We got everything, I think. Everything. What would you like?
What have you got? I want that bottle there. What's that one there next to the England flag? Well, there's an England flag. Northern Ireland.
That's the red hand of Northern Ireland.
There you go. Yeah, he loves a bit of Northern Ireland, does our Ben. What's the bottle next to Northern Ireland? What's that little one?
That is Bushmills.
Whiskey. Bushmills whiskey.
Whiskey, yeah.
Right, Ben's bar. I love it. There you go. By the way, in about 20 minutes' time, we're finished for the day. We'll be over it, okay? So if you can get Jeeves to get, the glasses iced. Right. And we've got to enjoy life while we still can, because according to Andy Burnham, he wants to take us back to the 1970s. And I kind of don't think that's a good idea. Let's have a little listen, shall we, to Andy Burnham in his natural habitat of the TUC building, talking about fighting the ghost of Margaret Thatcher.
I want people to understand the thinking behind the political direction I set, so people can see the decisions we take and the reasons why. I am clear, Britain took a series of wrong turns in the 1980s. Political power was centralised and economic power was privatised. The country surrendered control of the essentials: housing, water, energy, transport, and left people exposed to higher costs. That in turn led to the concentration of more wealth and power in the hands of fewer people and fewer places. Large parts of Britain were deindustrialised without the power to set new ambitions for themselves.
Might want to have a word with Ed Miliband when it comes to the conversation about deindustrialisation. But this is the thing, Ben, right? Because I remember during the Conservative leadership contest, they were all cosplaying as Margaret Thatcher. You know, they were all trying to out-Thatcher each other. And then now is Andy Burnham, who clearly missed out on having a leadership contest, seems to want to do it all by himself right now. Again, talking about Margaret Thatcher. That was 40 years ago. Have we all been in a coma? Is this the Truman Show? Am I living in some sort of parallel universe where I actually am in a simulation because the clock stopped in 1983 where I thought I was born, but perhaps I wasn't, because nobody's talking about the big issues of today. They don't know how to address them. Instead, they're like, I know what works well. Let's get out the greatest hits of Labour lines from 1988. I mean, what is this?
And he glossed over the fact that Labour was in power from 1997 to 2010. They could have reversed everything that Thatcher did if they wished to reverse it. They didn't. Actually, what Labour did was perpetrate a constitutional revolution against the United Kingdom, a revolution which we still haven't recovered from, which surrendered power from this country to the European Union, to other supranational institutions, eroded our democracy, made it impossible for the working class, frankly, to pull themselves up by their own efforts because of the high taxation, the high regulation that came with this constitutional revolution perpetrated against us. He talks about the industrial heartlands being deindustrialized. Well, net zero has played a massive part in the deindustrialization of the United Kingdom, in the pursuit of not producing carbon emissions. Our free trade deal with the European Union, which came from our membership of the EU, did a huge amount to damage production in this country because there was an artificially weak euro, subsidized European exports coming to the United Kingdom and damaging our trade. And his own government Starmer's government signed a ridiculous free trade deal with India, under which Indian employees, for example, in the United Kingdom, don't have to pay national insurance. It's smoke and mirrors going back to Margaret Thatcher. And I'm not going to defend Margaret Thatcher's record, except to say that for the time and the threats that the country faced at that time, she did the best possible job that any prime minister could have done. She inherited a country that was broken, bankrupt, and she returned a country, even with the crash of 1990 and the recession of 1991. Even with that recession, the country was in markedly better shape than the one that she inherited. But the threats Maggie faced are very, very different to the threats we face. Fundamentally, the constitutional revolution perpetrated by Blair and successive governments has not just denuded our economy, it has left this country's very existence now threatened by mass migration, an inability to determine what it means to be British, an inability to deport people who should be deported from this country, an inability to enforce our borders, and so on and so forth. The destruction of our culture, the destruction of our history, the traducing of our national heroes, and so on and so on and so on. And all of that is at the door of a Labour Prime Minister, Tony Blair, and successive governments that have come in and layered on more and more of that. And the sad thing is, without wishing to return to it, if we're going to have a trot down the lane of history lane, but the sad thing is that the Tories, with 14 years in government, didn't do anything to reverse what Blair put in place. Maggie's a red herring. The devil in British politics that still is the devil is Tony Blair and the progeny of institutions and regulations that he created.
Right, and which it very much seems like Manchesterism, which is just a totally made-up concept, because, you know, the good old Burnham Broadcasting Corporation is saying hints to what the ideology of Manchesterism might be all about. It's like, well, it doesn't exist. Right? No. You can't say, well, there's this thing called Manchesterism, but we're not being told what it is. It's a sort of fake sop, isn't it, to try and sort of, a distraction over here. Oh, look at this loveliness of Manchester. What is it? It doesn't exist. But talking about renationalising everything, Steve makes a very good point here on messages. Burnham's big on renationalising everything, so why not nationalise North Sea oil and bring it into the economy at cost? That could be one heck of a boost. Rocket fuel, keep up the good work. I mean, it's interesting because that is actually what Norway has done, where we buy the oil and gas from Norway at a far higher price from, fields right next to the ones that we close. I know. And Norway has a sovereign wealth fund. So they put all of the, profits made from their nationalised fossil fuels into a big fat bank account. And guess what? They ain't going to have a pensions crisis.
No, it is a tragedy that when we were producing lots of North Sea oil and gas, and we had that largesse, that we didn't actually set up a sovereign wealth fund, that we didn't save. We spent what we had. And perhaps one could argue that that is for the greater betterment of the United Kingdom more broadly, and the sovereign wealth fund would prevent that from happening. But I think there is a very strong argument to be made for a sovereign wealth fund. But on the point of nationalisation, I'm not aware of a single industry that's operated better in government ownership than in the private sector, with the exception, perhaps, of some monopolies, which when put into the private sector, either are abused by those that own them or take positions, exploit their monopoly position against the consumer. But for any business that has a natural competitor within its field, it's much better to be in the private sector, because it's the private sector that really understands how to drive profits, as long as it's not interfered with ridiculous regulations like net zero, GDPR, ridiculous employment law that's now coming in, has been coming in over the years, continues to come in, making it more challenging for the private sector. The change of ownership, actually, fundamentally, does not produce better economics. Who owns something is almost academic. What you want are low regulations, low taxation, the ability for people to make money so that money is made and money is pumped through the economy, and the economy does well.
No, I totally agree. And of course, if you nationalise something and it goes, belly up. We, the taxpayer, are the ones who then have to bail it out. We are responsible for the gold-plated pensions, for the, you know, the golden handshakes when someone's being made redundant. We take all of the risk. So there are good points and bad points to it. But the point is, you can't even renationalise anything. Costs too much, and the EU won't let us. So, you know, it's all sort of, you know, nonsense coming from Burnham. Finally, Ben, I want to ask you about this story. Denmark has announced that it's going to ban burqas in schools and universities under plans to tackle parallel societies. Apparently, they're already banned in public places. OK, that's great. Why not just ban them? Why in schools and universities? Just ban the blimmin' things. If you can't wear it outside and you can't wear it in a school in a classroom, then you have effectively just banned it, haven't you? Because, you know, it doesn't make sense to be walking around your house in a burqa when no one can see your face anyway. But I think you know, well done, in part, to Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, who is on the left, which is unusual for the left to be this, you know, forthright about something. It still doesn't go far enough. It is still muddling around at the edges and not sending a clear message about what European civilization's all about.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll come to banning the burqa in a second, but I think the fundamental issue that we're facing is an undermining of, as you say, Western civilization. The value systems which governed our behavior have changed dramatically and absurdly, to the point now where it is argued by those on the liberal left that wearing a burqa is a woman's right. It's a liberal right to wear whatever she wishes to wear, even though it's quite obvious that wearing a burqa is the outward expression of the inner repression of a woman. And it flies in the face of 100 years of the emancipation of women, putting women on an equal footing with men, and so on. The principle behind the burqa is the belief, this is as I understand it, the belief that women need to hide away from men because men can't be trusted with their own testosterone-fueled manlyhood. And so it's women that pay the price of men's inability to control themselves. Well, at the heart of Western civilization is a belief that everyone must control themselves for the benefit of the community, the society. And so the burqa actually goes fundamentally against traditional Western and British culture. It's symptomatic. Its proliferation is symptomatic of our culture falling apart, our people falling apart. The sad thing is that it has to be banned. It would be much better if we could unpick the damage that's been done to our culture and our society so that the burqa ceases to be an issue, because we go back to understanding that it's not something that's compliant with Western culture. But having said all of that, given our inability to rewire culture and the way we behave and understand our sense of who we are, I'm afraid there comes a point where there is no option but to ban it. And I agree with you. If you're going to ban it, it's not just schools and universities. You ban it because it flies in the face of Western culture.
Totally agree. Now, I never thought I'd be enjoying an afternoon debate about testosterone-fueled manlyhood from the heart of Ben's boozy boudoir. Anyway, Mr. Habib, thank you ever so much. If he could blush, he would be. Right.
You couldn't sing. You would just disappear into the wallpaper behind. I have to say, the one thing that Thatcher also did, she gave us back pride, but more importantly, she gave Britain back purpose.
Yeah.
She gave us something to do. That's what we don't have anymore.
We don't have any belief or confidence, no identity, no anything.
Yeah, and that's what's been stripped away deliberately, in my opinion.
No. In your opinion, I think it's very much knowledge.
Yeah.
Right, OK, final break of the day. After that, we're going to indulge in some voice notes and some messages and, I don't know, riff our way to the end of today. OK, don't go anywhere. Back after that.
Here at Talk, we're giving you the chance to win a massive £26,000. The question is, what would you do with all that money?
I don't know. We've got a wedding.
I would buy a camper van.
Probably just like clothes, yeah.
Not on a big holiday. Emigrate.
So if you fancy getting your hands on £26,000 tax-free, here's all the details you need to enter.
For your chance to win, visit talk.tv/win or text TALK to 8338 by 6 p.m. on the 20th of July 2026. Texts cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or send your name and number by post to Comp 1, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, to arrive by midnight on the 23rd of July 2026. 18 plus, UK residents only. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 8338 now. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talk.tv/win.
Some breaking news. 8 men have been charged with rape and child sex offences as part of a grooming gang operation in South Wales. Been charged with more than 30 offences. According to the CPS, the charges relate to 8 victims who were children.
Well, let me start by giving comment on Alison Hernandez, the Police and Crime Commissioner for Devon and Cornwall. She's a stupid, idiotic sycophant.
Anne Widdecombe was murdered, the most high-profile murder in Britain for many, many decades. She was murdered because she supported the reform agenda.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alrighty, let's dash through some voice notes. Here's Jim.
Hi guys, it's Jim from North London here. Just a very, very brief point about Margaret Thatcher's term in office and the transformation of the UK being, in 1979, the laughingstock of Europe, which it was. 3-day week, rubbish piling up everywhere. I mean, I'm old enough to remember having the little lamps that we used to have to keep because there was power cuts every other week. There was a power cut. And the transformation between 1979, when she came into office, or 1980, and then 1990, when she left, it was transformed for the better. And for Burnham to dig up that old chestnut, it's like, what do you want to do? Open the coal mines? Yeah, that's gonna help the situation at the moment in net zero, isn't it? And this guy's on just when you thought we couldn't get any worse. Ta-da!
I love that. I genuinely love that.
Also, reopening the coal mines is not a bad idea, can I just say? It would actually help a lot of those decimated communities. I don't know how we would afford the cost of labour, but actually we could probably sell it for a pretty penny, let's be fair. Market value on that stuff.
And you also have to remember, technically it was the Labour Party that closed more mines than Margaret Thatcher did.
Ooh, good factoid.
Yeah.
That's why we got you, baby.
Yep.
Right, let's have a listen to Sarah.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Peter. Sorry, I've just tuned in. I've been in and out this morning. I've been a bit busy, so I'm going to have to watch you on catch-up. But I just heard the voice note about Andy Pandy. Brilliant. Let me add a bit of a description to that. Andy Pandy, the ego with eyebrows. Thanks. Bye.
Hey,
Yeah,
there you go.
I like
Andy
that.
Pandy is totally sticking.
it would have been
I
better-
like the fact that Sarah's gave us in a voice note her movements.
Yeah, I know,
we
yeah.
were like, where's Sarah
Where's
today?
Sarah? Come on, Sarah.
You haven't got time to nip out. We're on air right now,
I mean,
Sarah.
it's not like we changed the time of the show.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you know, but I like the fact that also she's nipped out, so she's
Yeah.
going to catch up with us
Catch up,
on
yeah.
catch up.
Yeah.
So basically, let's all say hello to future Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. There you go. Andy Burnham might be turning the clocks back. We're travelling into the future.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what we're all about here
Yeah.
on Talk. We're future-proofed.
Yeah, also, I just love the idea of just that's going to get gift as us waving.
I feel like there's not enough gifts of us.
Yes, at some points I'm rather glad of that. I told you my big fear is becoming a very bad meme.
Oh no, I am now multiple memes online. Ever since I took the attack to restore Britain,
Yeah.
I've never seen myself so memed. Literally, I've seen myself in every single guise. None of them particularly flattering.